Welcome to the Late Night with Chalky podcast.
Sweet.
Friends and family, brothers and sisters, welcome to the Late Night with Chalky podcast.
This is gonna be epic because our guest, I don't know, we may have had a couple, but second generation, proper.
Yeah.
Dads were pros, kids were pros, or was this the first? I don't know.
Surf Dynasty.
Surf Dynasty.
Loyalty Dynasty.
Don't tell my wife that.
But
She's worried about the pressure for my son.
yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's coming up like, he's going to be a third generation.
I mean, child prodigy pretty
You never
much.
know.
Which is,
That'd be nice, but
yeah.
maybe not in this market.
yeah, right. But this guy's pretty much broke, I think, all NSSA records, right? Or at least had the most titles.
I mean, it's
certain divisions,
kind
whatever.
of stupid to talk about, but
Hey,
it's like,
who knows?
no,
What
Grace
record.
has me. I think she has 11 or something.
Okay.
I don't know, whatever.
But he's been putting out crazy edits. He's been blowing everybody out of the game in the air or whatever. Everything since he was 15, maybe even younger. 13.
Younger.
I mean,
Yeah.
edits he put out when you're a little grown was fucking crazy. Let's just say he bloomed real early in the surf category.
Yeah.
So people think I'm like 45.
Yeah.
You've been at it for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, at 15, he probably had, almost every surf brand battling to sign you.
I guess. I don't know. That's
He
like,
doesn't.
We'll get to
We'll
that.
get to that. He spent 10 years on the championship tour, continues to put out crazy edits. He's promoting the next generation called the 2%.
yeah.
2% crew, 2%, just,
It's ambiguous.
yeah, I
guess.
like it.
We put union at the end. It's
Good.
kind of like a
All right.
group, I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
And his recent Stab in the Dark series,
That was fun.
that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, that's one of the best things in surfing right now is
For sure.
that.
Stab is putting out too many good things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should buy you guys out. Why not? They don't have podcasts.
Yeah,
Well, they
I know.
do, but it's shit.
We'll tell them that you
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
You guys look
we're
at
copying
$1
them right
each,
away.
right? You're in.
All we need is a little bit.
Yeah. This has been a work in
Oh, 10
progress.
grand?
We know, it's hard to get people and timing and everything, but we're super stoked and we welcome Kolohe, brother, Andino. Brother.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
and-
I think I told you, but I ran into Dino, I think Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
Because we've been trying to get your dad on the show too.
Yeah.
And Dino was walking up with his one other grandson.
Yeah, my sister's boy.
Okay.
Yeah, Waylon.
And I go, hey, we're interviewing Kolohe next week. And he goes, oh, I'll come on your show now.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And
dude.
then what did I say?
Well,
I said, yeah, the only way to get my dad is if he comes with me. Because
Yeah.
he goes with me everywhere.
Oh, it's epic.
Yeah.
but before we dive back in history, let's talk about 2% and what it means and what you're doing with it.
Well, basically, it started off. I mean, the long story, I guess, is where we got plenty of time, right?
Yeah. There's no.
the long story is during COVID, we like we were the first guys that kind of have that like weird fake visa where we got to sneak into Indo, and we stayed on the boat for 3 weeks, got incredible waves, just kept filming, and before we went on the boat trip, I was like, oh, I'm gonna make an edit and it'll be cool, blah blah blah. But then once we had Indo to ourselves, I was like, man, this needs to be like a proper film. So
can I interject?
yeah, of course.
So
Any questions?
that visa, I think only, like Strider got it, Kelly got it. and
They
then
were after us.
You guys, okay, so
Yeah.
you guys kind of spearheaded
Which
that.
was kind of perfect because we got there and then there was like this little rumblings that we were, and there was kind of like people shit talking on the forums and stuff. But then Kelly showed up like 4 days after, and then he just like took all the limelight. So we were just like completely forgotten about.
And he stayed on Bali, right? Pretty
He
much.
was in Bali, and I think he like was jetting around like to Scar Reef and like
Yeah.
kind of different stops, and we were just in the Mentawais pretty much the whole time.
And there's nobody else.
Nobody. Yeah, it was like the 60s or whatever.
And did you have the pick of the litter on the boats to choose from? Like pretty much
What
everybody's
boat were you
like,
on?
No, we were on the Sabone Jaya
Okay.
or whatever. I think.
Yeah.
Did you just go on that or?
I did it, but Review Projects.
Yeah. So, Nate Lawrence and Pete Matthews kind of like puppet mastered the whole thing.
Sick.
And that was a boat. They were like, yeah, we'll do it for super cheap because there's no like we need work and like you know whatever, and like we can stay as long as you want because there's nothing booked. So we were originally gonna go for 10 days, and we ended up staying for I think like 22 days or something on the boat.
Damn.
2 weeks. 2
Yeah.
weeks, bend the curve. 2 weeks. Yeah, they're like, oh, nobody. I guess we're here another week.
Yeah, like we're just checking and there's no one there, so we're just like, we gotta stay, and then so we get home, we have all this crazy footage, and I'm like, okay, I've done little edits, but I'm like, I'm gonna try to make like a full movie out of this, and like, the more I started watching it, I was like, oh, it has to be like super legit, and like premiere it and do like a tour and like do all this fun stuff with it. And
Have
we had
you
this,
already
like,
made movies?
no, I just done like little edits where I was like, oh, like tell my filmer like put this song and like whatever. That's basically it.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, you gotta like sell it to Red Bull and you gotta do this and that, blah blah blah. I was like, no, I think I could do it. Like we had all this time on our hands because COVID, no competing. And so basically we made Reckless Isolation, and we're like, okay, everyone wanted these like big like premieres and all this stuff. Like it was like the response for it was insane. So I was like, oh, it's pretty cool. And my main thing was like, I didn't want to say like directed or produced by Kolohe and Andino, so I just made this little like production thing called Stagnant Ambition at the time. So fast forward 2 years, we do some like smaller things. I did this like little Carissa film and like some other stuff.
You made a Carissa film?
Yeah, I shot it all the 16 mil. I shot 16 mil during the Olympics. Just like brought my bullocks with me, and then made like a little Carissa film. We had like little merch. Like we did all this little stuff, like pretty underground. Like we would do a show and like 50 people would show up. Like because I'm not like super active on social, so it's just like this weird.
What was it called?
The Carissa film. It was called A Limp Kick Through a Screen because it sounded like
What?
because it sounded
Kick?
because it sounded like Olympic quarantine.
Oh.
And I thought the Olympics was like a pretty like weak delivery of surfing overall.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, so it was like a limp kick through a screen, like and it's
That's
just all my
funny.
16 mil footage that I shot, and like I think I have one of the best shots ever in like American history surfing because I got a shot of her getting chaired up in 16 mil.
Yeah.
So anyways, I did all these little kind of smaller projects on myself through Stagnant Ambition, and then I got super inspired by a movie called Godspeed, which is like a skate movie where they did this like little group kind of skate movie, and it was like core, super lo-fi, and everyone just kind of collected footage and they had their own parts. And
Who's in that, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't even know. I'm not super like rehearsing the skating.
Yeah.
zone.
I like skateboarding.
I think it's called, is it called like Civil something is their little group called? I don't know. I think it like broke up since then.
Yeah.
So I was like psyched on it. So I was like, okay, I want to do that with our crew, like our community. And I was like, Stagnant Ambition is kind of a weird name. Like I didn't really like it that much. So I just changed it to 2%.
And your wife came up with that name?
My sister.
Or your sister?
Yeah, my sister.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, I asked her, I was like, hey, you got any other names? And she just sent me like a list of names. I was like, oh, 2%. That's kind of cool. Like, whatever. Let's do that. And we could like kind of make fun of millennials always complaining about their phone battery. That's how it started. If you wanted to put a story behind it.
Oh, so it's 2% phone battery.
Yeah, like that's how it kind of.
Oh, I'm on 2%.
Yeah,
My
like-
life's gonna end.
Yeah.
Like how panic sets in. And
But
you're
your
just-
sister came up with that?
She texted me like a list of names that she thought were cool.
Yeah.
And she was kind of helping me with stuff.
What other names do you remember?
No clue.
It's 2% stuck out.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's clean. And then like the logo could be cool or whatever. Like it's clean and unique and has a number. So then got all the gang together, like kind of had everyone at my house. There was like, 30 of like the Groms, which mean like Cole Houshman, like everyone from like Cole Houshman to, Henry Roth, who's like 15. And I'm like, hey, like let's do this movie. Like you guys just collect as much footage as you can. Based upon how good the movie is, I'll produce it. I'll like make the merch. We'll do like a little movie tour. Like let's just have some fun and like show people about San Clemente and like kind of more raw and lo-fi, like than like way different than the Carissa film or Reckless or anything. Just like kind of more Lost-esque, I guess.
Yeah.
So everyone's all psyched. They've never been a part of a movie, like blah blah blah. Like they're kind of all fighting for like the last part, and they want to use like a particular song and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I give them a date, and then it has to be edited and colored and stuff. So between that night at my house and the movie, which ended up being called Smooch, these guys just go on like a crazy rampant competitive psycho streak, like Cole's winning everything, Crosby, Cade qualifying, Jets world champ, like it's just going like it's going nuts. I'm personally not making one heat myself.
Yeah.
But so I kind of just, so they kind of just like took it and just like blew it up, and I was just like, oh, this is sick. Like, let's, and then so by the end of the year, when we showed the movie, it was like psycho, like, and everything was happening so quickly. I was like, everyone's kind of comparing us to Chapter 11. I was like, what's different about us in Chapter 11? So that's why we did the contest in July for the U.S. Open. Like, we did
That
this
was insane.
super sick tag team event. And then Griffin was in the final 5, so we had this like huge Griffin night, and we raised like $12,000 for the Maui Fire. So I was just trying to like kind of just learn it as I go, or going as I learn, learning as I go, whatever, either one.
Yeah.
So now it's like this like big thing, and even now, you know, last week Cole and Griffin, both of our boys are
Huge.
in the final at Bells Beach. Like, Cole's making history, goofy foot rookie winning bells. Like, it's incredible. So,
Yeah.
It's very
It's
inspiring.
perfect timing, you know, to be honest. Like when you guys started this and you know,
Yeah.
you're just, like you said, winging it kind of.
Yeah.
Totally.
But then all these, I mean, whether the athletes or friends, everybody's getting a little bit, you know, raised up, or maybe it is helping, but regardless, the timing is impeccable.
Totally.
Everything's
It's so
just,
heavy how San Clemente is like the epicenter of surfing. I mean,
Right now.
talent wise and like,
Well, they have the final
Media.
5 there.
yeah,
And Philippe that lives, it's like the center of the universe. I trip on it.
yeah.
It's so weird.
Because you grew up in the Mecca.
Yeah,
Because Huntington used to be the Mecca,
totally.
right? Like,
Dude, I was on like times 10 lifestyle posters when I was 16 years old at the US Open when I rode for Nike.
yeah.
Like, it was like
Like super
psycho.
sick.
yes.
Modest Mouse playing for free on the beach. Like, I
Yeah.
think I got 2nd or 3rd that year. Like, it was like, yeah.
Yeah, it's big as the stadiums.
Like, yeah. Like, it's just.
But San
insane.
Clemente's always been in the spotlight, but over the years, it's kind of, you know, whether it's the magazine push back in the day, whether it was like Kenworthy and Dival doing the videos, Lost, you know, when
Yeah.
they were making out those videos. And then it all comes down
Astrodeck.
because
There's
Astrodeck,
so
yeah.
Wave
Yeah.
Warriors. There's so
And the
much
talent pool,
Well, it all
obviously.
changed when Potts went there. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Because he would go there and hang with my dad and Jimmy Hogan and some of the older guys. And
I
then that
think
just
he helped, for sure.
inspired all Archie, Christian.
Yeah.
But we
I
talk
know,
about
well,
places that have so much talent and it kind of ebbs and flows. Like certain years, there's, you know, gaps
Nobody
where there's like
coming out,
nobody, and then all of a sudden there's like a group that just,
20 of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you guys don't have a few. You have like 20
It's like
of them.
all of a sudden you turn around and look at San Clemente and you're like, holy shit, they can fill the roster of the world tour. You know what I mean?
I
They
mean,
could be top 16 could be San Clemente.
Yeah, or I was even thinking today, I was like, we could like potentially have 3 guys in the top 5.
Yeah.
At
Easy.
I mean, it probably won't happen, but I was like,
It could happen.
we could have Griffin, Crosby, and Cole. Like, they're all in the top 10.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So finishing up for now, 2%.
yeah.
After you did Smooch
Yeah.
and you're about to leave a company,
Yeah.
did you decide before you left the company, or like was it percolating the idea of starting your own?
I didn't have it. I was not planning to do like the merch stuff that we're gonna do at all. I was planning on writing
Movies, filming.
exactly, just
editing.
having fun and kind of like balancing that line of like, yeah, we'll make a hoodie for the movie, but not like really to like sell. But it was just kind of like opportunity, I guess. I was just kind of a little bit sick of like doing photo shoots and doing, you know, like long scheduled trips to Lakey Peak away from my family, and I was just like, I was kind of done. So
Yeah.
and I left a lot of money on the table, like long term, if I get back on tour like I want to. But I was excited to put it back into the youth, so that's what I'm doing now.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's awesome. You're in a point in your life where you could make those kind of calls, because most everybody's like, I'm gonna get that contract. I gotta get one more. You know, like
Well, yeah.
you're still young. You're still like on the
Not
top
only
of the
do
game.
you have youth, you have talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, totally. I mean, maybe this will lead us back to like the early years or whatever. But my dad's always been like, "You're a leader. You're not a follower." Like that has been like ingrained in me since I was like 2 years old. Like, you don't copy people. You have your own opinions. You're a leader, not a follower. You're a leader, not a follower. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
so when I have, you know, when something's on my heart, it's like I got to do it. You know, so
Yeah.
that's how That's how I was raised, and that's where I'm going now. Let's see how it goes.
Well,
My dad's probably going, "What? I created this monster? Oh no!"
Well, let's
Slow
get to
down.
it.
Yeah.
So, obviously, your father is one of the greatest surfers around, and he was
really
a
wants him on the
fierce.
show.
Yeah, he was a
Sounds
fierce
like it.
competitor, right?
So
Yeah, he's an
competitive,
animal.
gnarly in the water.
and
Yeah.
you're his offspring, and of course, like, when did he get you on a surfboard?
6 months.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no like, I don't know. There's like pictures of him like holding me like when I'm, 1 year old, whatever.
Yeah.
I think maybe my first birthday was at Kira because I think my dad was competing, and I think maybe I rode like a little whitewash that day. So
Who's older, your sister or you?
I'm the oldest.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he had you first, and then
And then
how many?
And then my two sisters.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
One of my sisters is like 21 months younger, and then the other one's like 7 years younger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Kira,
Yeah, Kira, first birthday. Yeah. So.
and what contest is that? Was it the World Tour or was he?
Well, I don't know. It's changed so much.
Yeah.
I think they used to do like the trials thing. Maybe it was
Okay.
during that. Maybe
Yeah.
There used
Yeah.
to be. It used to be a Billabong event, and like
at Kira or at
it was like
Burley
before.
or
Yeah, it'd
Yeah.
just be a mobile event
Yeah.
almost. If the banks at Burley were better, they'd move it there.
Yeah.
Kira doesn't break, that often compared to some of the other spots. So
Yeah.
I think it was
Totally.
a mobile event, but regardless, Gold Coast.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
when do you remember like thinking, okay, this is surfing, and you're standing up going down the line?
I think it was maybe my 5th birthday. I came home as a surprise birthday, and I remember like coming home and there was like a custom Timmy Patterson for me in the corner. I just remember like a big surprise, and I just remember like locking in like, oh my gosh, there's a surfboard over there. Like it's probably for me because it's my birthday, and yeah, I just remember that like kind of like, and I remember going out trying to ride it. I think it was like a 5.0 or something, and I would have been a micro grom if I was
Yeah.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
that would have been a huge board, but like
Yeah. It sounds
back
tiny.
then, like the shaping horse, whatever, they couldn't only make it so big, or so small
Yeah.
to fit.
5.0 is a grom board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Timmy could do anything though.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
right.
So, Timmy Patterson.
Yeah.
Was your dad riding Timmy's at that time?
I'm
Or
not
Patterson's?
sure. I wouldn't know.
Mm.
Yeah. I think he. Hello.
Hi, Farah. Welcome back.
I think he kind of bounced around from like McElroy, Cole, Timmy, got some Rusties. Like, so I don't know where he was
Yeah.
then.
But your first board was a Patterson.
Yeah. Well, I think Timmy has a son named Keone, who I'm close with in age. So maybe he already did one for Keone. So he just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to
I mean,
put my brain in my dad's
Yeah.
body.
regardless of getting a freshie for your birthday is like the best present ever.
Yeah. And I
Outside
just
of
remember
getting
like
a
trying to
new
ride it and like I couldn't paddle it or whatever. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Where was your guys go to, like
T Street.
T Street?
Yeah.
Like
T Street. I grew up serving T Street, not lowers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much
Yeah.
the Grom Fest. Cross
Yeah.
the bridge and down, and it's
And all-
always wedgie and
All the older magazines, like the Breakout and Action Now, a lot of shots were from T Street.
T Street. Yeah. Yeah.
Like Andy Fomenko and Hogan and
Totally.
like
well, the lighting at I mean, it's not
Pinkerton.
Pinkerton. Yeah.
Yeah.
the lighting at lowers unless it's late afternoon. You're going into the left. You don't see many photos like over the years from
Lowers. Yeah.
Like, just because the way it sits. But T Street, it gets more face on and
Well, a lot of it
Everybody's
was
out.
shot at Creek. Probably
Creek a lot.
80% at Creek,
Yeah.
because you could get onto the point and look more straight on, like you're saying with the light, and it's got the for some reason the water's clear there, whereas in San Clemente it's a little more muddy.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
that was the jam. We'd be there.
Larry Light.
Larry Light.
Yeah.
Larry,
My dad said he used to scream at him, "Where are you?
Yeah.
Fucking banker's hours."
yeah.
Yeah.
If Larry calls you, you better be down there at dark and just ready.
Yeah. And your dad was a photo slut.
Fuck yeah.
He
Yeah.
got a
Yeah.
lot of coverage. And I mean, I just remember like the PSAAs and like the airbrushes on his boards and the bright wetsuits.
Yeah, fun stuff.
And God, he got so many covers and so many shots in the. at Salt Creek. It's
Yeah.
like, dude.
Creek. I think I'll tell a story for my dad. I think he'll maybe clean it up when he comes on the show. But so I think the first time he ever met Flame, he was on a trip to Natividad, and he was maybe 15 or 16. And my dad just like frothing Grom, like grew up super poor, so he's just frothing at all times, especially at like a opportunity like this.
Yeah.
So my dad tells a story like he was like flying down the line straight at Flame, and he does a big old snap, like probably 6 inches away from his camera, and Flame, when he came up, just lost it on my dad. I told you 3 to 6 feet. What the fuck are you doing? That's why I don't fucking bring these rookies on. Fucking lost it on him, and my dad was like, "Whoa, dude, this Larry guy's kind of gnarly. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I was just really excited or whatever."
Yeah.
So he, so they get home, and he gets a call, and it's Larry, and he goes, "Hey man,
That shot is amazing.
you got the cover."
Wow.
Yeah.
And they became best friends.
Yeah, he was like his dad. Like it was
Funny.
like proper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a killer story.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Flame, you know, he was top of the food chain when it came to like everything about photos and mag and edit, you know.
He made careers.
For sure.
He made my dad's career.
Yeah, he
Straight
made
up.
your dad's
Yeah,
career.
my dad would say that. Yeah.
Um,
How old are you?
I'm 49.
Okay, so my
Almost
dad's
50. He's a little few years.
yeah, but you got some
got-
Flame action.
I got some
Yeah.
Flame action. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Flame, I don't know. I think I went down there, or maybe Quicksilver was going to put an ad together. Anyways, I got in contact with Flame. He actually invited me down, and I wasn't wearing anything colorful. You know, I didn't have the colorful board, and he like chewed me out because he said, "I got these photos and they're fucking useless. Like really good photos." He's like, "You have fucking no color. Like if you don't come back down here unless you have color. Like that whole thing."
Snapping.
So like
Yeah.
pissed, and I was
It
like,
gnarly.
and I looking at the photos, and you're like, "Yeah, we're not running it like anything." Like kind of just put me in check. Like
Yeah.
I was like, "Fuck." So then like after that, it was like,
No wonder you're wearing neon green.
"Oh, dude, you kidding me?" I was
The
like,
white Kolohe has orange and
Dude,
white
I'm all-
wetsuits.
Yeah.
"White, pink,
It's in my
orange,
DNA."
green."
Yeah.
So you're 5 years old. You get your first board, and I mean, obviously, you're already surfing.
Kind of.
And- Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did your dad first get you in a contest? Do you remember?
The first event I ever did, I think I was either 6 or 7, and it was at Golden West Street, and it was like,
Golden West?
yeah, Yeah.
CCSA, CB.
it was an O'Neill event, and I think they used to be called the O'Neill Kids Are All Right or something like that,
Huh.
or maybe it was a movie called that. It was like an O'Neill event, I remember, and yeah, it was like they had all the divisions, and I did a couple divisions, and I remember like Mason Ho did it too, and yeah,
What a trip.
at Golden West Street. It
How'd
was a
you
great
do?
place for an event. The shorebreak's so sick there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
I love Golden West.
Yeah.
there, 9th Street and the Pier are pretty much the three like spots that
Yeah,
the
Taco
contest
Bell
are.
Reef.
Yeah, Taco Bell Reef,
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
And never on North Side, but Taco Bell Reef's okay. They complain about, you know, the old Caton would be too noisy. It's by North Side, but then they would hold events right in front.
Yeah, right there.
I'm like, how do you not let us
Yeah.
run events,
Yeah.
you know, 100 yards down the beach where it's way better?
Yeah.
We'll do it right there. Anyways.
How did you do?
I think I won or something. I think I won and made the final in the other division. I don't know. Yeah.
Was there dad assist? You know, like now there's that push.
No, there's no data assist.
You know?
That's a new thing.
That's a new thing.
Yeah. The boob.
The-
That's what I call it.
Get the boot.
Get off the boob,
Yeah.
Crom.
Learn how to paddle.
So you're Dino Andino's son, right?
Yeah.
And what age did you like realize that your dad was like gnarly? Pretty early on, or like
Gnarly in what sense?
like
Just
He's
surfing. Like,
fucking
he's a famous
superstar.
surfer.
Well, I'm still finding out. Because my dad's so humble and like low key and like
So,
never like
yeah.
you gotta pry shit out of him. I mean,
Yeah.
by now I've heard like some of the stories, like the flame one, like I've heard that a handful of times. But he's
Yeah.
pretty like super low key.
Incognito.
Incognito, doesn't like to talk about himself. Not on
Yeah.
Instagram.
It's usually the friends, dad's friends, or other people like, do you know how gnarly your dad is?
No, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So
It's not
yeah,
him.
So
it's
exactly.
other-
So everywhere I go, like pretty much in the whole world, I'll be like, fuck, like, because I'm always like trying to play it cool, like I'm not from here, so I'll be like cruising on the lineup, like don't want to be like that pro, just like murdering the lineups, like catch every wave.
yeah, like
And
I would.
I'll be like, fuck, I'll be like, okay, that guy definitely don't burn that guy. Like, he's
Good
one of
man.
the boys. He's covered in tattoos or just looks gnarly, like just a full old carp. And you're kind of like, okay, like, don't burn him. And then usually this is how it happens. I'll surf, come in, and then this happened to me like 50 times in my life. And he'll be like, the guy will be, that guy will be coming up to me, and I'll be like, oh shit.
What I do?
Did I burn someone? I'm trying to think, like, what's he gonna say? Like, I gotta have something sharp to say back, you know? And he'll be like, hey man, are you Kolohe? I'll be like, yeah. He's like, your dad's Andino, huh? I'll be like, yeah. He's like, fuck man, he used to have the fucking best weed in all of fucking California. Fuck, we had so much fun. Yeah, he's a fucking gnarly guy. You tell him I say hi. And I'm like, okay, cool. Right on. Thanks for having me.
Which could have been the best outcome ever. in the whole
Yeah, of course.
situation.
Yeah, he's like, come back whenever you want.
So wait, are you saying, are you letting the secret out? Your dad used to deal or what?
I think it was.
I think everybody just
He
had
was
it.
consuming.
Yeah. Everybody just had it.
Yeah.
That was just the DNA of surfing.
Well, now it's legal. Like, you drive around,
Yeah.
buy it, and do whatever.
You can order on.
Yeah, I'll be on the freeway or
Uber
like
pot.
They're
on,
looking
on the
for
freeway.
more.
I'll be like getting big whiffs. I'm like, somebody up there has got something good because it just goes straight into the AC.
Yeah, because your dad was. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't imagine it, but I can kind of think about, like, you know, in San Clemente, right?
Yeah.
You're driving around town and you go to the beach and everyone knows who your dad is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then, like, going back to the different, like, San Clemente, there's so many dudes in that time frame too.
My dad's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many guys that were ripping.
San Clemente locals.
Yeah,
That's a full,
McNulty's.
yeah, that's a full movie.
What's
Archie,
the-
Fletcher's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Flamencos.
Shane
Cascos.
Beshin.
The Beshins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
it's crazy because
There was a gap.
Yeah. like,
Those guys were running it hard.
Yeah.
Like in all different aspects of like the industry and different like tour guys and just photo guys, whatever, they were all on point.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, San Clemente used to be such a hardcore town too. It was
Yeah.
just filled with Marines and bikers.
And gritty, yeah.
military.
Yeah, it's like it was gnarly and it
Not
was
Sprinter Man
hardcore.
Nation and all like all hoity-toity. No,
Yeah.
I got one out front, so
Yeah,
I
there's a
can't.
couple out there.
I love my band. No, but I mean, just the
Which is great, though.
Astrodeck,
That's
the
been great,
magazines. I mean, you know, surfing was there, and then you know, Surfer was just down the street, you know, right on the cusp. But
Yeah.
it was definitely a mecca for sure.
Yeah, because you know, when you're a little kid and you already look up to your dad, right?
Yeah.
And then you're watching him surf and you're watching the other, you know, men surf. You're like, fuck, my dad's good, right? Like, you're like, holy shit, my dad surfs better than any dad here. You know what I mean?
I didn't really think of that, but yeah, I guess so. You know, I notice that now, but I think, I don't know. It was like the way I was brought up was like my dad was right when I started like realizing that sort of stuff. He worked for Oakley, so I was like getting kind of. He would bring me everywhere and like kind of trot me around, being the Oakley team manager. So I was like kind of around all of my favorite pro surfers at the time, like you know like Andy and Taj and like. You know, I was just like in these competitors area with all. So I kind of like, when I was that young, I was kind of like, whoa, there's those guys. You know, I wasn't really like focusing on my dad, and my dad was always like, oh, I'm done, like blah blah blah. Anyways, so I never really noticed it. And
And that's what a great brand, like an Oakley that isn't like a clothing. You know, like they kind of just they have every lifestyle, every person.
yeah,
You know, so you have access to so much more than if it was just like a wetsuit brand or a clothing brand as far as who you're affiliated with and hanging with. Like Oakley had everybody. They had the money. They were fucking big.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
I
were-
rode for
they were
them
doing-
for a
they were
really
doing
long
apparel
time.
at the time too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, fuck. Yeah, your dad's in the
So-
mix.
Who was your first sponsor?
well, like, what's considered a sponsor? Like
Dad.
free clothes or
Yeah.
actually,
Free board, free clothes.
I mean, I got the boards for free. I rode. I think the board might have been at Noah Boudreau. It was either a Noah or a Timmy.
Nice.
Yeah, the one that I was talking about, 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But so I guess I probably would have gotten that for free. But I used to actually put Volcom logos on my board. So I think I got like a little walkthrough when I was a Grom. Like so.
Yeah.
This is when I'm like 6, and then
I mean, what?
6 or 7. And
I mean,
then,
there's only a few companies that make clothes that small. You know. For that.
totally.
Yeah. Like
Totally.
you know.
Yeah.
But all your
At that time,
All your
Volcom
idols.
was the brand that that you wanted to be on?
I don't know. I think my dad just knew like someone that was
Troy
like,
or, yeah.
yeah, whatever. Like my dad was just, and then he got the job for Oakley, and I was like, oh, those are going on my board. Yeah, yeah,
Dad sponsor.
totally.
But that's how it begins, you know. You want them to kind of like have killer shit, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you want your kids to look good. You want your kids to have, you know.
But you,
And you have all the connections. Now you're really paying it full price. Like you're getting, you know, everybody
Yeah.
wants to give you stuff.
yeah.
Totally.
That's the way the industry works, you know.
Kind of free marketing, right?
Free marketing.
Yeah, a little.
So
kids.
when did competition become a bigger
Like
part of it?
NSSA, WSA. Like when are you on the like schedule?
So I did that O'Neill event, and then I remember like super vividly. I went down to my dad's grandma used to live in Oceanside before she passed away, and my dad knew there was an event going on, like I think an open season event, and they used to have mini groms 10 and under. I don't know if they still do. I think they do, right? Probably.
I don't know.
Mannequins?
But
mini grom.
Rooney?
It's like mini hooney, but they called it like mini ground. It was like a different name.
So he knew that was going on. So we went on my way to my dad's grandma's. We went and we stopped. And I remember super vividly. We went and watched the mini groms final, and it was before I was competing in the NSSA. And I remember like it was yesterday. I watched Andrew Doheny and Dane Zahn go back to back, like ripping super hard at like what seemed like big waves for the time. It was probably shoulder to head high at South Jetty. And I just remember being like, oh, it's so sick. Like, you know, like they're in the final and like they're just like Doheny was going right into the jetty, just like boof, like slamming closeouts. And I was just like so psyched on it. So I think the next season I did the comps, and that's when I started. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to be those guys.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, that's all it takes. But you know, who was your little rat pack like growing up surfing T Street? Like, what other surfers? You know, outside, I'm sure
Yeah,
Dad's taking you everywhere.
No, I had like a sick group of friends.
Yeah.
I had Ian Crane, Luke Davis, Tanner Rizunko, Jeremy Carter, and I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
the roll down, and you guys are running heats every day, and you're on like
Yeah, I mean,
15 best wave. Okay,
it's a lot different than it is now. Like these kids have coaches when they're like 6 and 7 years old. I trip out on it. Like my dad just used to just literally. I had to be at school at 7:30 in elementary school at
Yeah.
Concordia, and he would drop me off in the dark, and he'd come get me at 7, him or my mom, and I would just surf with my friends, just have fun, surf, and he'd watch and whatever, and be like, tell me to stop talking and. You know, ride more waves or whatever things.
yeah.
And I'd go to school and I'd come home, and as soon as I would come home, I'd go straight down to T Street. I'd either skate down there or my mom would drop me off, and then they'd tell me as soon as the lights turn on at the pier, like, you gotta be in. So
Isn't that incredible?
that's all I did. And I was no like coaching, or we didn't have heats, and I wasn't everyone's different, but I was never like thinking like I want to be world champ or like any of this like crazy stuff that I've ended up living. But I just surfed a lot, and I competed on the weekends, and I was like, man, I really want to beat Luke this weekend, or I really want to beat Doheny this weekend. Like the first year I did the NSSA, there was 10 events, and Andrew Doheny won every single one.
That bastard.
Jesse Steelman got second in every single one,
Wow.
and I got third. Except for 2, I got second, and I beat Jesse. And then when the Nationals came around, I wonder if I could spit this out. The Nationals came around, it was at Lowers, and this was like the boom of the surf industry. Like Gatorade was sponsored, like had a tent down there. Like every single company you could ever think of.
2004, 5?
It's probably 4, yeah, because I was 10 and I was born in 94. No, it would have been 2002 or something like that. So the final at the Nationals was John won, Andrew Doheny got second, Carissa Moore got third.
She surfed with boys?
Yes. And I want to say Evan Geiselman got 4th, I got 5th, and Ezekiel Lau got 6th.
Wow.
How's that final?
That is nuts.
That's the who's who of the world tour.
When I was 8. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
So it was cool. It was a cool time to be a girl.
Yeah, Lowers, you know, that was the pull for NSSA when they got that permit, you know, and okay, we're running, like, that just was
Did
so
your
crazy.
dad film you and stuff? When you
Never
were
filmed
young?
me. No.
Shut up.
Yeah, never filmed me.
Wow.
Yeah, there's footage of me from like when I'd be on the side of like a Oakley trip or whatever, you know, but never filmed me. He could never film. I think he tried a couple times, but he'd end up like going like that and watching.
That's kind of
Sorry.
awesome.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know, when your dad was such a high performing, competitive, he's a competitive surfer.
Yeah, he's an animal.
Animal.
He's like I said, he's a poor kid, come from nothing. Like he's an animal.
Yeah.
Webs, fucking kill
Whatever it
everyone.
took.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he was in the magazine all the fucking time, and he was on the podium all the fucking time.
Yeah.
That's
So to hear that, yes, he pushed you surfing, but he didn't do like the typical.
what you see
Soccer
today.
dad.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. It was very yeah, it was. I mean, it's funny because he still tells me the same shit. Like he'll just be like, "Hey, you're looking a little bit narrow there. You got to widen your stance if you want to like surf good." You know, it's just the same shit.
The
It's
same
like,
pointers.
yeah,
Like,
it's like-
hey, your feet are on the right. That's I
Yeah.
mean, that's my
or
kid's
like,
good.
hey, like. It's a little nicer now because I'm like a 30-year-old man. But he's like, hey, if you want to like warm up, you should probably fucking ride some waves instead of talk. Yeah. Whereas it used to be like, hey, like you having a fucking tea party out there? What are you doing?
Yeah, why are you talking, chit chatting?
Yeah,
Like, go get work done out there.
Yeah.
I can just imagine him surfing against like Beshin and stuff.
Yeah. Well, he's a little older.
Yeah.
Beshin's
Yeah.
a little older.
No, my dad is.
Your dad is, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
But
he's-
it's like those guys, every time, like a lot of those contests, those guys would be in the same heats. And
Yeah.
finals.
yeah, kind of. It was more. He was more Archie, and like Mike Lambresi.
Yeah.
And Doug Silva and guys like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, they used to play the PSAAs on
keep forgetting
TV.
that.
Yeah.
And
yes.
that was where I see, you know, because there would be a surf movie maybe once a year here and
Yeah.
there. And I mean, I think I'd seen your dad in one of the Gotcha movies and somewhere else, you know, but most of the footage is like
Wave Warriors or whatever.
quarter semis final smoking everybody and like, you know, some sort of contest. And that's what you see. And then the magazines. So,
Totally.
you know, it's a
You
little
ever seen
different.
that movie, Surfers? Surfers, the movie?
I have. Yeah. Yeah.
Your dad was in that. Like a lot of the,
Some interview as well.
Yeah.
Interviews. Yeah.
yeah.
What's
And-
the one guy? He goes like, "Hey man, just like be nice to everyone because you never know what their sister looks like or whatever." Yeah.
Al Chapman.
They might have a hot sister. Or
Yeah.
something. I was like, that's
Instead
epic.
of taking waves, give a wave.
Yeah.
Who knows? He might have a hot sister.
Yeah. Such
So
a good.
good. Such a good
That's
one.
so good.
That's a good movie.
So, okay. So you started doing the NSSAs. The droid used to beat you a lot.
Yeah.
Is he a little older than you though?
Like a year and a half, which is a
Okay.
lot, kind of when you're 8. You know?
For sure. And then when did it like start clicking and when you start winning contests?
I think the next year maybe I won mini ROMs. Maybe. Or did Evan win? I think I won. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. We
But I don't know. I was just always like hyper competitive. I think it was just in my DNA. So I just like when I would lose to Andrew, I would just be like every weekend. I was just like, oh my gosh, like this sucks, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, losing sucks, but it's part of life. But you
it
know,
makes you better, right?
yeah.
Like it fuels your fire. Like
Totally.
But
Yeah.
but you know, we've talked in the past, like it's, you know, heat this, heat that, win there, whatever. But it's that camaraderie, the friends you build along the coast, because your whole world's San Clemente
Yeah.
history, pretty much. And maybe somewhere your dad, and you start. Maybe not until maybe a little more teens, but you start like,
Yeah.
oh, you live up, yeah, come stay at my house. I live in Ventura or Santa Barbara. Oh, I'm down in Sandy, you know.
Totally.
And it's like that's where I remember like hanging out and meeting all the guys. And most of the guys you surf with are the best of the best.
Totally.
Like Santa Cruz, you're staying with the best of the best.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
feel
that's-
like you're in house parties, you know, like
Totally,
you're just
yeah.
kind of like,
It's fun.
it's fun.
Yeah, and you create lifelong friends. Like
Yeah.
back to when I was 8, 9 years old, like the hoes used to come and stay for a month for the whole shebang, and like, you know, so we had everyone coming through my house. Like it was like crazy. We had like Alex King, Chaz Chittister, Andrew Doheny would come down sometimes with Kyle Kennelly, and then like
Kyle Kennelly.
Ford and Keone Patterson, Ford Archibald would come by, and then John would come with his friends, and then and with his brothers, and then I had friends from town. Like it was just like my house was like always the hub,
Yeah.
and we lived in a small house, but it was just like beds everywhere, like just like super super fun, and then you end up making, you know, lifelong friends, and then, you know, like you said, like later when Nat started competing when he was like 15, we became really good friends. And like I still go up to Santa Cruz and spend like, you know, at least a month a year like hanging with him. Like it's just it's
Yeah.
insane. You know, without that, like who do you know? It's
Yeah.
weird. It's really weird to think about. Like, you know, a couple people, like it's weird.
Yeah, like let the drama end in the heat with the jersey, because it's like that's gonna always change, like who wins, who loses, but it's like those friends,
Yeah.
like you said, like you're at 14, 12, 15, whatever the age is, typically those ones winning and the best, your hardest competition, they're gonna excel with you on that same parallel. Like, you know, as you get to, then you're like, okay, we're on the qualifying. Well, fuck, I want to travel with my homies, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's like expensive, and you want to be able to like have people you could hang out with, but
Totally. You need that support and that community on the road. It's
Like,
so big. Yeah.
So when did you first get on Lost Mayhems?
I think I was like my first 4 or 5 boards was a mat. I think.
Yeah.
I think I had like, or maybe I had like 1 Bedreau or 2, and then I had like a couple Timmies, and then I started riding mats, and then I kind of like rode mats throughout. Yeah.
So No Bedreau shaped a lot of boards for St. Clemente? Or he shapes under Timmy's boards?
He
or?
shapes under mat now,
Okay.
but I don't know what he was doing then.
Yeah.
But he shaped. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was my dad's friend. Like my first time my dad went to the North Shore, he stayed with Noah. So
Yeah.
it's like when he was like 14. or
he
something.
was a big name and a big personality in Huntington
Yeah.
when I was growing up.
He was gnarly,
Yeah, he
young
was-
pro surfer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got one of the best ads I've ever seen.
This guy.
I don't know if do you know what I'm talking about? I always bring it up when he comes up.
Oh,
it's
really?
a Quicksilver ad. And I think he's pulling into Waimea Shorebreak.
I've heard about this. Yeah.
And he's looking right at the camera with peace signs, and he's got the Quicksilver logo on his butt.
Oh,
And
really?
it says, the nicest way to go surfing. And it's the fucking sickest
That's
ad.
sick.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's a big ass
Does he
barrel.
have trunks on?
He's got trunks on.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Until they got
Like the
blown
nicest
off when he
way-
got cleaned up.
But it's like one of the best like ads
Yeah.
I've
Same.
ever seen.
Yeah.
But
Miss all the ads.
Talk about the heyday, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so when you got on Biolis's boards,
Yeah.
and that's when you were like in competing, and was your dad educating you on boards and stuff too? Like, was he giving
No.
you tips with
Not at all. He was just more.
Because your dad rode like weird boards,
Yeah, he did.
channel bottom, swallowtail.
Big, fat, huge things. Like, well, paddling was such a big component in competing back then.
Yeah.
So it was a big advantage to have
A lot
like
of
a
fun.
thick board.
Yeah,
And he used to ride the McElroys that were giant. Like
Yeah.
I have an old board that the tail is massive, and he still rides huge boards.
Yeah.
He rides like 44 liters.
wow,
Crazy.
Yeah, like and he rips. He
Yeah.
doesn't need to ride that. But yeah, he never was. He was just more. He was always like just, hey, if you want to do this, like you gotta spend a lot of time in the water. Simple as that. No coaches, no videoing, no
Yeah.
Instagram. Everything else will come.
yeah,
Surf, surf, surf. Get out there, surf, surf, surf. And he was very adamant on my technique, like when I was young, about learning how to use your rail, how to surf, before you start trying airs and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
basics, fundamentals.
Don't see that often anymore.
Yeah, and I think the equipment my dad had me set up on back then
Maybe
really
forced you to
really
turn-
catered that, because
Yeah.
it was like very stiff equipment, because it's weird, you start getting into these patterns when you're young, and then it's like muscle memory. Like when I try to ride a more curvy rockery board, for me even today, like
Yeah.
they suck for me. Like I'm always like going like back to what I used to ride in, 10 years ago, or like pulling out boards from when I was a teenager and going like, look at this thing, like look how flat it is, and like you could probably push so hard on it, and I had so much drive, like.
Yeah,
So it's just all what you're used to. But my dad really ingrained that into me when I was a young kid. Like,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
my kids will, like, every once in a while, we'll see old footage and they'll be like, why are you riding such a big board? And I'm like, that was fucking shortboard, dude.
Yeah.
I was like 2 inches taller than what you were. So if I'm 5'10", I'd ride a 6'1", 6'2" on, like, my normal shortboard, I didn't go below your height or at your height level for, like, years later. And then
Yeah.
and then you figured it out.
That era
I'm on
was,
my grovel was a 5'10", and now it's like my normal shortboard, but I'm like, it works so much better most of the time, especially in the slop here. It depends where you're at, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
well,
boards
it's
have changed.
interesting too, because it's kind of like cars and fashion. Like everything's become more functional versus style. Whereas
Yeah.
like you think of a longboarder, okay, he's riding a 9 to 10 foot longboard and he's like cruising, and style is kind of everything, right? So when you go to a 6'3", which seems like a longboard now, it becomes a lot more about style, which it was back in the day. Like you didn't want to be hopping; it was all about being like current or rabbit or MR. Like you wanted to use your rail, like like connect the dots, like keep your arms close. Like whereas now it seems like the equipment is so based either to launch off the lip and spin, or to be tight in the pocket and just kind of doing that spray snap, spray snap, spray snap. So the equipment has gone there to cater to the judging and the way like the top guys are surfing. Whereas I think it's almost going to go back a little bit, where guys are going to go a little bit longer so that they could draw their style out, and like almost how Ethan did. Like he was riding a lot of 511s before the Final Five last year. 511s, 6.0s, and right before the Final Five, he goes, "Oh, I just want to try my 6.1. It's worked good all year, and I feel like it doesn't look too long, but I could push on it harder." And he went to that and he demolished the day basically before he got to Philippe. So I think it's going to go back up just a little bit, and I kind of have that theory. And then it happens a lot too when the waves are heavier, because you see guys always trying to go unicorn mode, which is like Kelly, Barron, or John. They're riding 6'1", 6'2s, and they're
bigger stuff.
Yeah, and they're getting hung up a lot. Whereas like, dude, just ride like a 6'5" or a 6'6", and like you don't
get into them.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of think I'm predicting it's going to go back up just a little bit.
Yeah.
So you could tell your kids, "Told you so."
Yeah, well, I know. Well, I mean, my kids have been going so fucking much. It's like every time I order a board, it's like another inch, another half liter, another inch. You know, it's like by the time we get it, it's like, fuck, I think that's already too small.
I think it's for Duke now.
Yeah. Fucking rotate it down. But, I think length and, Coach Simmons, Ryan Simmons, he's down at the pier all the time.
Oh, he's so big on length.
And he's like, having, bigger fins and more length and just having to push and use rail, all the other stuff will come. But I mean,
he's so funny.
Yeah, we just grew up like speed was everything, like obviously style and all of that, but it was like, hey, your board, faster you go, the better the board works.
Yeah.
If you're not going fast, you're not going to be able to turn, because they were a little stiffer. The fins were, just
that Kelly Slater
elf shoe,
moon
rocker.
It worked at the time, but it definitely. I wonder what would have happened and what surfing would be like.
Well,
you know what I mean?
The argument they have is that there's a lot of rocker at the ends, but there was actually flat rocker in the middle.
Yeah.
So. And then he just chopped the rockers off at the end, and then it was like remember when he started riding those 5.6s and shit all over lowers?
Yeah.
It was like maybe 13 years ago.
The wizard sleeve, or are we talking about?
Maybe something like that. And then he was like, Matt Bowles wrote somewhere, he's like, he's paying for all his sins. He's paying for all his sins of getting everyone on those moon rockers in the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, the guy can ride whatever he wants. It's still fucking real. But yeah, I mean, the board, it's definitely come a long way.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, is like everyone rides boards based off of how they grew up surfing. So to go and chase what Felipe or Gabriel or John or Kelly is riding, it doesn't always work that way. Yeah. And that was one thing that some guys always did. They always just stuck to their guns, and like, whereas I was always like, felt like I was chasing myself, like trying to reinvent myself or try to get better too much, if that makes sense.
It's boards kind of like how how you identify with a surfer and their style and physique and stuff is usually look at somebody that obviously you aspire to kind of emulate. But if I couldn't go out and be a Philippe, I'm like, fuck, that guy's so gnarly and fat, I physically would not be able to like cater to that type of surfing. I got to look at the guys that are maybe like bigger, stronger, and doing different turns. So I, kind of like boards, you look at like what kind of physical surfing you can do, who surfs like that, and kind of, I mean, you're drawing from everybody,
totally.
But you're really identifying like, I mean,
what's crazy is there's so many good shapers, but then everyone, like when you're younger, right? you go to your local shaper because you get the hookup, they know the wave, and
Yeah. Yeah.
But then as you get more serious about competitive surfing and you get better, and then other people are like, dude, you should try this, which you should.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be serious about it and try to be pro, eventually you got to have the best equipment,
Yeah.
right? And it's crazy because we've had these discussions a lot, like, you know.
Well, it's like Pete Matthews said. You guys should get him on here. A good board can change your life.
Yep.
Dude, right?
Yes.
But it's sad because, like, let's say it's Noah Boudreau, right? And
Yeah.
you won, let's say you won a ton of amateur contests on Noah Boudreau's board.
Yeah.
Like Dimitri Polis did on
Roberts
boards,
Yeah.
right? Like there's guys that you grow up and kind of get better with, but then, you know, when you get to that stage, if you're going to turn pro or you're going to be in a big
You grow out of it.
event,
Yeah.
not just grow out of it, but in your mind, everyone's kind of feeding you.
I need to be on that type of board.
Yeah.
I need to be on that type of board. You know, like I think what he's going at is like local shapers sometimes get kind of pushed to the side, not because they can't afford, you know, to build your boards, which is mostly the case,
Yeah.
but it's like you get all these other influences and like, oh, well, the best of the best are on this, and this board.
Yeah.
If you're not on that, then you're, you know, like, why are you on this low, you know, this fucking guy's shapes insane and it works
Yeah.
for me insane, but that starts
It's-
fucking your
And I don't blame.
Well, board building's a labor of love, anyways, though, right?
Yeah, yeah. But I don't blame the kids for going outside of their norm.
Yeah.
It just sucks for that older shaper. that-
Totally, but also they had their moment where
Yeah.
they're shaping for the younger kids. I don't know. It's all a part of the
Growing
the
process.
stairwell.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you're
Yeah.
just blessed to have Biolas in your backyard, and you were able to work with them because
Yeah.
you know it's like
Totally.
there's not many of those guys around
Yeah.
worldwide, and
Yeah.
like he's like
Yeah.
in your backyard, which makes it even better.
Yeah.
You know, some people have to really travel and work, you know, around.
Yeah. If he
getting
was
boards,
in Florida, it would be a lot
right,
different.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool too to see not no name, but lesser known shapers like Chris Borst
yeah.
have boards in the finals
Yeah.
of these major contests, and you're just like, it's a trip, right? Because like for a long time it was Rusty, for a long time it was Channel Islands,
Yeah.
and then oh shit, it's Paizel, oh shit, it's Shark Pond.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the above.
Or Timmy or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's cool and it's gnarly because, like you said, a good board can change your life,
Yeah.
and it
Well-
could be from anybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember, you know, we worked at Huntington Surf and Sport together when I was in high school, and he was like one of the managers, and like,
I was the manager.
sorry, bro, yeah, I mean, of the boardroom. We worked the boardroom, you know, like we're fucking surfers. And the Morris Cole come in, and we're just looking at him going,
Reverse
what?
V.
Like, what the fuck? Like, reverse V, like, just really sharp rails, like, super,
You-
it was,
You know Maurice Cole.
Of
right?
course, yeah.
and they were just totally different, but kind of like a Xana did, just, you know, totally just
Artistic
unique and
out there,
artistic.
yeah.
And I grabbed one off the shelf. I'm like, I need to ride this. I need to try it out.
Yeah.
And it was, and I knew because of the dimensions we got in, I'm like, oh, it's going to be a little small, you know, it's not, I wish it was a little bit beefier.
Before the
whatever.
leaders.
Yeah, before
Yeah,
leaders.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, you know, you didn't, all you had to do is put it on your hand,
Yeah.
under your arm, you knew exactly. And the board was fucking magic.
Really?
Like,
Oh, that's
really,
sick.
really good.
That's a cool story.
Yeah. And then, you know, it was like, but, you know, by then I'm
Who
like,
did you ride back then? Like,
so like early it was Asaku 839s. Yeah, he worked for
Japanese
Bob.
guy.
Yeah.
Kind of learned from Bob Hurley.
oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He
then
shapes for, he's ghost shaping for Merrick too,
Oh, okay.
for CIs.
and then I was getting flow from Channel Islands, and then my first like real like official like board sponsor contract was with Pesh, Mark Pesh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I did that for a long time. And then after that was Doc, Jeff Lausch.
Oh,
that
Doc.
that was for a long time.
Yeah.
And both those guys were local, and I got boards. You know, you travel, and I get boards from everybody everywhere. You know,
Totally.
I'm going to Australia, I want some Simons. You know, like, or you know, going to South Africa, and you're you know trying to get some like Peter Daniels, who was huge at the time.
Totally.
But you know,
And we've
you know,
said this, he's
so
told
cheap.
this story before, but there was a board that was magic, and he took it to a shaper, and he goes, "Dude, like this board is magic."
I want make me 100, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the one, and then
And it was twisted.
the blank was
Yeah.
twisted, or like
The
I
fin
think
was off.
fin was
Yeah.
off. They're like, yeah, good luck. There's just
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah. I think that happened to one of John's magic boards.
Really?
Yeah. I think this is like a third hand story, so I don't want to like say it wrong, but I think one of his magic boards and one of his crazy runs, like in 2016, he was like trying to get it copied. He said he went through almost like 100 boards or something, and then and they didn't pay attention to the fins, and then one of the fins was tilted over to the side. And he's like, "What am I supposed to do with that?"
And
Do that.
and body mechanics and stuff, like you're drawing different weight and lines on backside than front side, and that little subtlety could, you know, like
Totally. Or your
Change.
mood.
Have
Like
you
my
ever-
mood. My mood.
Have you
Yeah.
ridden a
Right.
Jason board before?
Yeah, I've written some albums before. I've had fun on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I trip out on that. Like,
Yeah, Matt did like a little fake Mason, or not, he did a little fake ASIM.
for Mason.
No, it was
Is that kicking the
a
ball?
mayhem.
Mason to Mason.
Mason and ASIM. I was like, there's too much going
He's
on.
rapping over here. Let's go.
Yeah. But he had like a little like wing on one and then like the other one didn't. I don't know. He kind of tried to market it, but I don't think it did very good. But it worked good. But Matt's the king of like making these boards that are like so easy to ride.
Yeah.
So,
God, I've never had
Well,
one.
I mean,
hey, it could change your life.
yeah. It's been a long time, but I've had a couple, and I don't think he shaped them. I think just whoever, you know, was there, and maybe one was off the rack. You know, you go, hey, factory seconds, you know, and let's go,
Yeah.
just go grab. But yeah, it's just boards are so addicting, you know.
You should have him on here. Have you guys have him on here?
We need to for
Miles?
sure.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We've
He's
been
so smart.
we've been talking to him. He says he wants to get on for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
The first 30 seconds he'll be really scary and then he'll be really nice after
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're prepared for it.
Yeah.
We've had some
He's good. I've known him forever.
we've had some gnarly personalities
Yeah.
on the show, so
Oh, sick.
we're used to it.
I met him in Japan in like maybe 93 or something like that. He went over to kind of promote his brand.
Yeah.
And it was before Lazarus Mayhem, you know, and had crazy paint pen like art. And
Yeah, he was an artist.
like
yeah.
him and his girlfriend at the time, they were just like they would just go paint board. He had a whole like bag of just paint pens.
Yeah.
And just doing the fucking craziest like designs. Like just we'd be at a contest hanging out and they're just fucking drawing up boards.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? That was fucking sick.
So, when did you decide to like that pro surfing was going to be your path?
I don't know. I mean, I think once I started making a little bit of money when I was like started riding for Billabong, because my dad had a really good job at Oakley, like, and he essentially had to leave that job from Oakley so that he could kind of go like it was like a package deal with me, and so that I could ride for Billabong because he thought that Billabong was a lot better company for me to ride for, which probably was true. Billabong was huge then and
Yeah.
had best team in the world. So he kind of did that for me, and then there was kind of like I remember like kind of a moment where my mom and my dad were like, hey, like you're gonna make like a little bit of money now, and like your dad's leaving Oakley, like it's kind of a big decision, like sure you want to do this, like this is. And I remember my mom having like a very nervous like feeling. I remember like, what are you so nervous about? Like, I'm just gonna surf, like what's the big deal?
Yeah.
And I think I was like, I want to say I was 11 or 12.
Fuck.
Yeah.
You were 11 or 12.
Yeah. And they were like, okay, let's do it. And then I think I like made some good money then.
Yeah.
Did
Like
they keep that? Did you even
six
know, or they
figures.
kept that?
No, I don't, no, it wasn't that. It wasn't 6 figures yet. It wasn't. No, that came later.
But they
Almost.
weren't.
No, I don't think it was.
But they weren't like were you involved on the numbers, or they just kind of kept that? Hey, don't worry, good.
No, they didn't. It
Yeah.
was like kind of like just like
'Cause, I
keep
mean-
having fun. And,
Because that's it. I mean, it could be a deal breaker, you know. Like you don't want that to be an influence. You know, you want to do it for the fun. You want to do it for the love. You want to do it for
yeah,
just the passion, not like.
Yeah. Because
Oh, money. Oh, now you're thinking like the wrong
your
way.
dad
Yeah.
is very smart.
Yeah, he
Like,
is.
He's a shrewd. He probably didn't go to college, but
He didn't go to high school.
he didn't go to high school.
No.
Because I saw this
Neither
one.
did I.
Yeah, I was just gonna. That was my next question. Was where did you pull the plug?
I saw this interview on him,
We'll have to erase that for my kid.
and I can't remember what it was, but it was him in his house, and he's talking about how he bought his house,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he started talking about real estate, and like that's what somebody told me to do, and that's how I'm, building my future.
Totally. I know what interview you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll have to remind me so I can pull it back up. But I was like, fuck, man, like, that's amazing. You
Yeah.
know, like, we talk about how some of the best surfers in the world and best athletes are super smart.
Yeah. Or
You know?
poor, because they're dumb.
Or
Or-
they're poor, but they work hard at getting what they.
No, they're poor.
Cheap.
They're poor because they're dumb
Yeah.
with their money,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Like the other side
Yes.
of the fence. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a different.
The sad part.
Yeah, the sad part.
Yeah, like Allen Iverson or whatever. There's a lot of
Yeah.
stories like that.
Yeah, I mean, people that don't pay taxes, like Sonny and stuff, that have made just millions upon millions over the course of their career.
Yeah.
and or other, it happens. You see it on both sides. Richie, there's a crazy story about Richie Collins that his dog would take a shit in the house, and he would in the carpet, and he would just go take an X-Acto knife, right, razor blade, and just cut the freaking piece of carpet out and go throw it away. And he had all these holes throughout his house on the carpet.
What?
Yeah, for sure. Like crazy, Like come home, punch a hole in the wall because he was pissed about, losing or, and it just would never fix it. And just crazy stuff. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? So,
Well, he's
yeah. But
he's also like the artist type too, because I know he shaped all of his equipment
which is insane.
to be second in the world or whatever he finished some of those years. So it's
Yeah.
incredible feat when you
Oh,
think
yeah.
about it. Like I can imagine
he
going
won-
and mowing my quiver for snapper in 3 weeks. Like
The old school surfers used to do
A
that.
lot of them.
yeah.
Like
But-
PT
but-
used to shape his own board.
But besides Mark Richards, who won 4 world titles on his own, who else has done that and done better?
not when world titles, but a lot of those tour surfers back in the day used to shape their own.
Like
Yeah.
Dave McCauley. Doesn't he shape? No?
I think
Maybe,
they call it
yeah.
Shane
Yeah.
Horan and I think Michael Peterson used to shape his own board. But yeah, a lot of
Just
those,
like the old school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
it got too busy. Yeah.
and they were fucking gnarly.
Hardcore people.
Yeah, hardcore.
Shitting on the floor.
Yeah.
Exactly like it.
Well, PT.
With holes in the wall.
You did. I heard. I never been to his house, but I heard it was gnarly like that. But
So,
PT would build a bunch of boards because he would
He'd
sell
sell
them, and that
them, yeah.
helped fuel getting them into the next event
Oh,
too.
sick.
So
Yeah.
that was kind of like another thing. Like, hey, I'm making them for myself, but I'm gonna build some more because I need money to get to the next.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
they
kind of
would,
a
like,
necessity.
Take Levi's and whatever else they could sell that would be popular in different
Wherever.
countries.
Totally. Oh, okay. That makes
Hustling
sense.
extra cash.
Yeah.
So right.
So-
Cool.
Billabong was your first major sponsor,
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess major, yeah.
and you were getting paid as an amateur.
Yeah, yeah.
And why, if you don't mind us asking, why was your dad part of the deal? Do you know?
I just don't think he wanted me to ride for Billabong and then he worked at Oakley.
and
Conflict of interest. Oh, because there's apparel too, right?
Yeah, Oakley was apparel.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the time.
Okay.
They had Dean Morrison, Dustin Barca, Damian Hobgood,
that was big.
Brian Conley, bunch of guys.
Yeah. And you rode for Billabong for how long? Long time. Right?
Until I was 15. And then Paul Naudet said Target wanted to get into the action sports stuff. And
We
they
saw
wanted-
this on
Yeah.
how surfers get paid.
Yeah, and they wanted to sponsor me. So he, my dad, met with, I
Your
think
dad, that was your agent, kind of like your.
he was kind of dabbling, and then he was like, this is kind of getting gnarly. I need to get a manager or agent, or I don't know the difference.
Somebody knows
Yeah.
the lingo with the.
Totally, because it's kind of getting to a lot of money now, because I won some national titles, and I don't know, I got a bunch of photos in the mag, similar to my dad. And mags were huge then, and people were stoked on my program. So I was like, well, this is getting kind of nice. It's more money than my dad was thinking, more money than I know how to communicate.
Yeah.
So
No, because going back to your dad's heyday, he's probably one of the highest paid pros at the time.
maybe, yeah.
Probably made
Gotcha.
the most. Yeah,
And
since
Rip Curl.
like
And just-
since pro surfing, like his stage was bigger than previous,
Yeah.
and then your stage was fucking way bigger than previous.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like your dad must have been tripping because here's his son who's following in his footsteps, but the world is shelling out way more than he had ever imagined.
No, totally.
And you don't want to fuck up, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and make the right decisions. And go ahead. So
Yeah. So they wanted to get Target was stoked on my program, and
how the hell did Target get in the picture anyway?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Because I remember
I really
watching
don't know.
Surfer. I gotta
I'm
watch
just
Surfer
a
Get Paid
15,
again.
14-year-old kid. Like I told you, like in the summers, like this is a note for all the kids that want to be pro surfers. I used to wake up and go surf lowers. I would come home around 10 or 11. I would go back to the beach to hang out with chicks and surf all day. Then we would go home to get ready to go surf after Blackball T Street. Like we'd surf all day. So that's all I would do. That was like the only thing we'd do. And then in the summer, and then we would go to house parties, and like my dad and mom trusted me. I was a good kid, so I could skate around town and like just do fun kid stuff like that. So
Yeah.
so my parents were just like, keep doing that. Don't worry about the money. And like, luckily I had really trustworthy parents because like hear all these Macaulay Culkin stories of like their parents like taking all the money and like, fucking nightmares. So that was cool because at the time I'm not gonna be like, oh, like you gonna steal it from me? Yeah. So they went. So back to the story. Target wanted to get to sponsor me, and my dad was like wanted me to ride for Billabong and Target, and I was like, that like probably seems like the right move, you know. And then
big buddy.
Yeah.
So
bigger buddy, big buddy.
So
Huge.
It's kind of like, I don't know where this all came in the picture, but my dad gets this guy named Mark Irvin who works for IMG, who's like does Shaun White's deals. He's like big time agent kind of manager guy, who ended up being like still my agent, lifelong friend, like a kind of a father figure for me, even though I have my dad. Like I have a lot of dads in different aspects.
It's good.
So
mentoring.
Yeah, like Shane Beshin, Matt Bailos, Mark Irvin, my dad, Snips. Like there's all these like just a funnel of knowledge to pick from. So he gets Mark to do my deals. Billabong, Paul and A say, fuck no, he's not gonna have a Billabong and a Target logo on the board, because fuck those corporate guys kind of thing, which I could see now because it kind of like everyone went so corporate now that it's like fuck. I wish there was more people like Paul to like that had sack to like say shit like that.
Yeah.
So it was like this perfect storm of Target, and then Nike wanted to come in and to get into surf, and then Red Bull wanted to. It was like a big. Back then, it was like a big, huge thing if you rode for Red Bull, and then they had never been on someone's nose before, and they were like, my deal was up with Billabong, and all three of these companies they wanted to get on board with Mr. Kolohe and Andino. And at the time I was 15, and then I won the open men's at Lowers, and it was like, and I already said no to Billabong, and it was like game on, and I signed 3 deals that were all kind of part of one, and like Red Bull was on the nose, and Nike was like my apparel and shoe sponsor, and then Target was like right below it, and I guess that's where I am now.
What was the length, like 2, 3, 5-year deals? Because I think Target was on for a long time.
I think they were like 5-year deals, but if I qualified that they could like re-up. So when I qualified when I was 17, which was like 2 years later, I re-upped my Nike deal, which just ended like 2.5 years ago, which ended up being my Hurley because it went back to Hurley. So I signed a 10-year deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And then I think
At
then
15?
at 17.
At 17.
Yeah, they were 5-year deals I think in the beginning, and then I got to re-up because I qualified.
So, I'm conflicted because there's 2 things that I like the money that these corporations can bring to the table.
Totally.
Because it can, elevate the sport, elevate the
Athlete.
industry, elevate. I mean,
Everything.
they can do a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Money can make the presentation that much better,
Yeah.
and create livelihoods in our industry.
Totally.
But I hate it when they fucking decide, oh, this isn't worth it.
And
You know,
And it's fucking
and then they pull the plug and
Yeah.
they create this vacuum.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they essentially. I mean, that heyday would have been 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14. Like, Nike was like making that heyday. It was crazy. Like, you go down to the U.S. Open, like I said, Modest Mouse for free.
Yeah.
Larger than life posters of everyone. Like, it was just stores on the beach, air conditioned. Like, it was just like. And then they like did this thing, which I think they did before I even qualified or competed in the U.S. Open, where they like paid everyone to come do it. Like, you remember that?
Yeah.
And they had a like big tow out event and jet skis, like giving people back. I remember like Andy, Taj, Joel, Mick, Kelly, they're all like getting paid to do the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
So they're all.
Because they weren't doing it. It's not a WCT. I ain't going there.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
tired of going there.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna pay me to go there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was part of the ASP or WSL's like kind of it was the dream tour. You know, like we only want exotic or crazy caliber good waves, and Huntington didn't make that that cut, so they were investing a ton of money to try to get that sanctioned.
But it's kind of I guess the way I look at it is like Red Bull and Nike, they were like so corpo that it's like, hey, we're corpo, but we're like, we're corpo, but we're gonna do some sick shit. So like
Which
everyone wants to get on board,
Yeah,
and
we're gonna hire the
Red
right-
Bull still is,
Yeah, Red Bull's the one that
where it's like, don't tell me you're core and you're actually corpo. That's what we're kind of that's what we're dealing with now with like all the brands. It's like
what I hate.
yeah,
we're core, but no, you're not.
yeah.
What I hate is like I said, it's like they come in, take over, right?
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason they decide this isn't worth it. Because not only are they wreaking havoc on the market, in the shops.
Dents
right?
everywhere.
They're taking market share from brands and putting a lot of brands
They put some shots
in the back.
putting them in the back, and
Yeah.
some of these brands go away because of these corporate brands, right?
Totally. Yeah.
But it sucks because like you want the money, but then it's like, when are they gonna take it away?
Totally. Yeah.
And I brought this up before, and I used to work for DVS shoes. Right?
Yeah.
And DVS,
They were sick.
they were sick.
Yeah. Shane rode for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we used to be the sponsor for the Tampa Pro and Tampa Am.
Uh-huh.
And I think we sponsored it for like fucking 8 to 10 years.
Oh wow.
And then Nike comes in, and we were sponsoring it for like, I said this before, we were sponsored for like $60,000
Uh-huh.
for the year.
Yeah.
Nike comes in with $250,000. So they took over.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Tampa Pro and Tampa Am
blew up even harder.
they fucking like
Yeah.
elevated, better live streaming, better this. I mean, they
Concerts, parties.
They
Yeah.
put so much into it, and then 5 years later, boom, gone.
And then is it a thing anymore?
It's still a thing, but it's not.
It's on life
funded
support.
Yeah, it's not funded by Nike anymore,
Yeah.
I think.
Back to grassroots.
Yeah.
But it's still,
And DVS is a brand still, or
DVS is not a brand.
yeah. So that's what you're saying. It kind of like
It creates
Yeah.
turmoil,
totally.
and it
Eventually.
So what do you
strike it right
suggest?
time.
What do you suggest though?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for
You
it.
make them sign 10-year contracts, and we know the exit date.
I just think because like they do this continuously throughout
History.
throughout history.
Yeah.
Like when we used to work at HSS, Nike was never in the store.
Yeah.
Nike never had a spot in the store.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden they buy Hurley.
Yeah.
Right? And all of a sudden they started making skate shoes. But real skate shops didn't want to carry them
Yeah.
until they created the limited edition
limited.
freaking dunks that
Yeah.
you could only buy at skate shops.
It's just
And then
marketing.
the skate
genius.
shops were like, wait, what? Like, you're gonna
Yeah.
sell me a shoe for
There was a moment they kind of went Supreme route, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like it was hard to find them.
yes?
Yeah.
And one of our friends kind of gave them the idea, so he says.
Yeah.
We kind of believe him, but anyways.
So he says, kind of, we believe him, maybe.
I believe him.
We're gonna believe him.
Okay.
But
Me too.
But it's crazy because like all of a sudden, you know, they hire reps, they got a team, and then boom, like that all goes away.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Adidas, same thing.
I was bummed about the Nike thing because I think they were just like, they just missed on the streetwear like trend because they are really streetwear. Like all their stuff still is like
Athletic, sporty, streetwear.
cool kind of urban stuff.
Like when you guys,
where that's in trend now, and it's
Yeah.
like they pulled the pin and sent everyone to Hurley, and now they're gone.
well, going back to the shoe game, right? When I was at DVS, we were the #1 skate shoe brand the whole time I was there.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Like everywhere I went, we owned the shoe
They're on the
walls.
top of the game.
Yeah.
You know,
What does
And
that stand for?
nothing.
Okay.
Those guys just made up the name DVS. But
Phone
there's
charge.
another brand called Kai that
Yeah.
was part of the podium, and then they had Maddox, right?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, we were dominating the skate game the whole time, and Nike could never get in it, and Vans wasn't even
Yeah,
a skate.
it was
recognized as a skate shoe brand.
DC, DVS, Lakai,
Etnies,
Yeah, there was a
Circa.
There was all the core.
all endemic
Circa.
skate brands.
Yeah.
With the big old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sick.
the
Is that
puffy shoe
Chad
game.
Muska?
Chad
Yeah.
Muska,
Yeah.
yeah. But anyways, what was my point?
Audio?
Audio was
Audio,
huge.
Yeah,
fucking-
yeah.
I mean, there's so many
There were like
America.
That's like right when I was like 7 years old, and I was like just starting to get into fashion a little bit. I was like, these are sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
But-
guys all, you got these Oakley shoes, they're awesome, wear them.
They look like moon boots. I'm like, fuck these things.
none of the skate shoe companies or surf shops carried Nike, and they kept going and finally penetrated
Wow.
with SB.
Yeah.
Right? And it was because of the limited edition dunks that
Oh, okay.
shops could shops could sell a $35-$40 wholesale shoe
Yeah.
for $150-$200,
They're making,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
and
hand
people
over fist.
lined up for them.
Yeah.
Like
So they
literally,
use the dunk. Like
Silhouette, yeah.
yeah, they just use the dunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
and that's the thing that what kills me is they started killing it with SB, right?
Yeah.
And then 6.0, right?
Yeah.
The reason why they created 6.0 is because, fuck, they're having success in the small brick and mortar core shops,
Yeah.
right? With SB,
Yeah.
they're not going to whore that out, right?
Yeah.
Because they'll just lose what they've gained,
Yeah.
right? So they create 6.0, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you started writing for 6.0, right?
Yeah.
More
But they're-
mainstream.
But their shoe, because SB wasn't in Zoomies, SB's wasn't in Tilly's, SB wasn't in, what is that other big one? PacSun,
Yeah.
right?
Journeys.
So they needed to get in those, because those are like, 50 stores, 100 stores,
Yeah.
1,000 stores.
Totally.
They want to keep that segmentation with SB.
So they create 6.0 to get into those stores.
That's what
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And when
dude,
it first started, it was so corny. Remember
super corny
Yeah.
with the weird cartoon.
the two-headed
Yeah,
monster
yeah.
and like everything was orange.
And you didn't think it was going to work. But they everyone carried 6.0.
Yeah.
When
Even the surf shops carried 6.0 and skate shops.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because they created, what they wanted to do, they did it.
They
You
took
know
all
what I
their
mean?
money and started creating
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
they bought Hurley, right?
Yeah.
I think they bought Hurley before 6.0 even came around. But then they had Hurley,
Yeah, you might be right.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. And then boom, they create 6.0. Then they start making apparel. Then they put Yuan, Julian, who else?
Michelle Perez, now
Michelle Marcel,
everybody.
yeah.
now
All
Young.
Yeah. The
Yeah. Carissa.
and I'm like, wow, these fucking corpos
Yeah.
fucking pulled it off.
Totally.
They started, taking market share.
Well, you know how many buyers at all those big box labels that you just said, they're never going to get SB. And they're like, well, give us something, like if you're
Totally.
a buyer at Tilly's, like they want to be a part of the core what they think
Youth
for.
market.
Like zoomies, like they hear the buzz. It's no secret.
Yeah.
Well, what are you gonna give us? What are you gonna give us? What are you gonna give us? We need it. We'll write you freaking,
It's funny.
And then that's when
That's what happened. You know, like, and that's the beauty of.
But you and
marketing,
a lot of boys and girls, got to, ride
to taste that.
got to ride, like,
Yeah.
Like
You got that target money.
yeah. Like hearing Julian on because he speaks his mind and he's very, his point of view on what he wants and how he wants to do it. And, he was saying like, yeah, man, I'd be flying in their jet into, corporate and, Portland and, no, I don't want to do that. No,
I went up like 3 times. Yeah. They used to have this secret, it's called like Room something. I guess you might be able to look it up, but it's like this secret store, like inside of like it was crazy. I went in it twice. It was like this whole experience, like Justin Timberlake, Ashton Kutcher. That's like where they all got their Nike stuff. They'd go into this store and there were like trap doors everywhere.
All exclusive stuff.
Yeah, like all these like different colors and different models and all this like crazy. And all the rooms were like decked out with like, the theme of the shoe or the product or whatever. And yes, that was really cool.
I mean, that's the other flip side about like, hey, cool, I'm getting a paycheck and I'm, got this corporate sponsor, but going and getting exposed, like you're going to walk through at Hurley, super kind of surfy and culture, and then you're going to Nike and you're like, holy shit, this is what like big guys do.
And you guys kind of talked about it on the stab, how surfers get paid, but were you tripping when they moved everybody from 6.0 to Hurley?
Oh, I was heartbroken, proper. Riding for Nike was the sickest thing ever. Like I said, we got to do stuff like that, design our own wetsuits. Like it was crazy because they were so like infatuated with like being cool that they literally told me, hey, we just want you to wear the t-shirt. If you wear the t-shirt that has a logo I don't care if you wear a jean jacket, Levi's pants, stance socks, t-shirt, shoes, that's all you gotta wear. Make sure we could see that 6.0. And I was like a little fashionista kid, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I can just wear like little thrift store stuff and like 6.0, boom, like. And then I was just always, I never ever liked Hurley. Like me and Craig used to ride for Hurley, and they had like the cow suits and like Blink 182 and like Yaden in like a Cadillac convertible, and like I was like, this stuff's corny, man. Like it's like it's not surfing. It's kind of like Costa Mesa, like automobile junkyard stuff.
Well, they definitely
lost. And then they went into those suits where they were all like green and purple and like all like electro, and I was like, man, shit sucks.
Well, I remember seeing in the store, and like you said, it's like one couple years it's Blink 182 like punk, and then it got into the skinny like emu LA all black and super tight jeans, and then the next year
tattoos.
Then the next year is like motorcycle, and then all of a sudden fix like the kind of identity of chasing and the trends was a little too all over the place.
Yeah.
And then you had Rob Machado, and then you had all these different personalities.
The Malloys, it was like I don't know. I was just when I was a kid, I was just like Taj Burrow, McFanning. Those are my guys. Yeah. So
besides your dad, who'd you look up to growing up? Taj
Burrow?
Those
guys. Yeah, my dad was always like, you want to surf like that forehand, and you want to surf like that backhand.
Who on the forehand and who on
Mick on the forehand, Taj on the backhand.
The whip.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can kind of see it now.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right? Those guys are so gnarly.
Yeah. Then so later fast. It was like
goes back to speed, dude. The two fastest guys.
Totally. Yeah.
Like pretty much.
Then later it went like Andy Kelly rivalry years. And it was like those 4 guys, and then when I was like 15, 16, it was like Dane and Jordy.
Yeah,
because they had those like 5 years where it was like, who's better, It's like
and it was kind of cool to see like bigger dudes, kind of taking over,
totally,
because since forever it's always been the kind of like little guys,
small
stature, like
Jacob's
really
body.
Yeah. And then you got these guys, and I've said it before. I'm like, first few years I watched Jordy, I'm like, fuck, he looks kind of awkward and it's not that appealing, And then the more you watch it, you're like, holy shit, he just dropped in and went straight up into a freaking 4-foot alley. How did he even do that? Like the coil. Then you start breaking down what he was actually doing.
Like video game,
and it was like
at that point,
and it was like John the first few years. I'm like, I don't know, man. It's like it's not Ethan Ewing right away. You know,
Yeah.
you're like, well, you just like
But
technically.
Ethan had those down years too.
But
Fell off
like
tour.
now you're looking at it, you're like, fuck, nobody's putting the board in that spot on the way.
Yeah.
You know, Kelly did that forever, and you know, there's a bunch of guys that.
Taj is so fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
Like I stumbled upon some YouTube videos
Yeah.
of him, and I'm just like, fuck, dude. He was kind of ahead of his time for a little bit there.
Totally.
You know what I love is he had a little bit of more old school.
Yeah.
Where, yeah. Outside the flicking, like the wave's over, and he's in the whitewater. He's still doing air reverses and 360s and whatever.
Yeah, it was, like, fun.
Most people would have like kicked out to get out the back, and he's still doing like 8 turns in the whitewater. You're like, what are you doing?
How long? When did you qualify for the tour?
I was 17, so I was my
So
first
young.
my first event. I was 17, and then I turned 18 between the two.
And that was just 1 year of the QS.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure you did a couple events, but took
It was a really
seriously.
it was like a really interesting year where they had the half year cutoff, but then you could get on the half year. And then I think like Yaden, Gabriel,
You got on a half.
Miguel Pupo all got on, but then Yaden got injured in Japan, so then John got on that half year, like right before lowers. And then I think I got on at the end of the year. It was like these 2 periods where you can make it. And that was my first year on the QS full time. I got a wild card into the lowers event, which was like a prime, which they used to call the challengers, they used to call them primes. And I got 5th because it was a Nike event, so I got in. And then I had like a bunch of results throughout the year and qualified. Yeah.
How stoked were you? Like,
It was just like a weird time. Like, I don't know, like, I look back at it now, like, everyone's so excited for these guys in my town to be on tour doing good. And I'm just like, man, when I was on tour, I took it for granted so much. Like, I was just so caught up in, like, trying to win and, like, the pressure of winning and trying to win my event that I never won. And, like, it was just, like, I was always trying to improve that. I was just so stuck in that bubble. But, like, now I'm just, like, now I'm thinking, like, man, everyone's so, like, I was on there for, 11, 12 years or something. And I didn't even really notice it. Yeah, and like now I'd love to be back on for another year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and I'm like looking at the road ahead for like the next 2-3 years. I'm like, fuck, it's gonna be so hard, but like I think I could do it. Like, so I'm just like, whatever. You're just so stuck, and I didn't really.
That's the hard thing with competing. You know, it's a marathon a year. You know, like what you're doing, you're going to these, I mean, the most beautiful, exotic, and just awesome cultural like places, you know.
Totally.
And if you lose, you're like, fuck, I'm out of here. I want to get to the next spot. I just want to kind of separate myself from everybody, because you know,
geographically too. You're
yeah. And you know, I think nowadays, I don't know. You can only get so much info out of WSL. They don't do a great job of like highlighting the what's really going on, like in the outside of heats, you know. And I'm like, man, if they just had like another behind the scenes type of like segment to really kind of cater to free surfs, you know, food, culture, whatever, kind of see what people are doing on the down days, because there's some people that just bounce, and there's some people that are like, fuck, my friends are in it, I'm gonna be hanging, I'm here to the end of the finals, you know. And get that kind of perspective would be cool for us fans.
yeah.
Totally.
What was it like for your dad when you first qualified for the tour?
I'm going on tour.
Was he all psyched? Like, oh, I'm going with you.
I don't know.
I'm putting that in the contract.
I don't know.
You can't rent a car
I don't
until
know
you're
if he was
25,
like-
dude. I got you.
Yeah, it's true.
Someone's gotta make all the arrangements.
Yeah. I don't know what he was. Yeah, that was an interesting time in my life because I was like forced to grow up and fast forward and also under the spotlight. So my dad and I, like those 5 years, like we kind of butt heads a lot because I was like, I had my girlfriend who was my wife then, and then I was like this like child star on the road, and it was like this weird stuff. And then my dad was like trying to coach me into the right path of all aspects of life, but at the same time trying to let me learn myself. So it was just like a lot of weird times in my life, kind
And
of.
it's gotta be hard to maneuver and guide and like.
Well, nobody wants to listen to their dad for the most part, you know.
Yeah,
like, even how good your relationship isn't like it's, you know, sometimes takes somebody else
When you're
to-
17
to-
and you got, you know,
to say the
millions
same-
of dollars and you just won every QS, like
Yeah.
and you're good looking, and you're like fucking like,
Yeah.
and you're in Australia, like I'm not listening to you, Dad.
Yeah. but Snips or some other father figure, because I know Snips traveled with you quite a bit, and you know, maybe it's a similar message or a similar, you know, saying, but it's come from somebody else that might resonate. I don't know.
Totally, yeah, and I think
It's okay
I think
to
when I
something.
got on the other side of that, I became such a like an intense like training athlete, like all in guy, that my dad was like, "Whoa, what did I create? Like you got to lighten up a little bit because you're so intense, you know." So
When did that start happening?
that was like
the
when
training part.
it was like when I mean, I kind of always train and I would be like intense, but then I was just like I said, I was just learning to grow up really, and I was like learning who I am, like still am to this day.
Yeah.
But it was just gnarly because I was like, I had all this expectation. I was competing against guys. I was competing against Mick Fanning, Joel Parkinson, Kelly, Taj Burrow, like all my favorite surfers. So I was just getting smoked every event. So, but then I also had guys that I was like comparing myself to, which is like not good. You shouldn't do that either. But like John and Gabriel, I had like instant success, and they're only like a year older than me. So I was just like, this is weird. Like it was difficult for me then. But I mean, once I was done being a kook, like with my relationship with my wife, and I was like, because we broke up for a year, and I was like, okay, if I want to get back together, we'd still hang out because I was dating her since I was 16, and then like I would be a kook on the road, and then I was like, I can't do that anymore, so we broke up, and then I ended up. We weren't dating for like 15 months, and then we were still hanging out a lot, and I kind of felt like she was like starting to move on, and I got like really scared, and I started to think about it, and I was like, man, okay. And I'm 20 at this age, which is like pretty young to like make these kind of decisions. And I was like, okay, if I'm gonna get back together with her, like I'm gonna marry her for sure. So kind of once I like asked her to marry me or asked her to be my girlfriend again, like full on, everything changed. I just kind of locked in and went all in, and that's when I became like a fucking
Kolohe 2.0.
a freak show, like training, and this. That's when it was like I was spiraling in the other way, where I was like always trying to improve like too much, where I was like, and I ended up changing things, like I said, like with the boards, like always trying to change my boards to like get better and better and better, and like chasing my tail, because it was like weird. Like I'd have a good year, and then I would like be like 4th in the world, and then I would change my boards, and then I would finish like 8th, and then I would change them again, and then I would finish like 13th, and then I would change them back to when I was 4th, and I would get 5th again. But then I would change it. It was just like this like thing that just kept happening.
Is it based on the waves and where you're going? Like you, or
it was just based on me
what
comparing myself to people that I was like competing against.
they would show up to contests, you're spying on what their equipment is, what they're doing.
Well, it's like when you're in like,
I wouldn't say
when you're in Margot's and it's like John's like fucking Jesus on a surfboard. You're kind of like, dude, what's he riding? Like, this
that's what I mean. Like you're.
But then like the next week you're in Rio de Janeiro, and Felipe is like doing twirly birds, and like juxtaposition board wise, they're like complete opposites. Like one's like very low rocker, wide. One's like narrow, thin, rockery, light. So if you're following those guys, you're kind of like, fuck.
I'm not him.
I'm like, yeah. And then like Gabriel's like riding these huge boards in Portugal and like making everything and paddling like a monster. So you're just kind of like. Whereas I watch some of these guys and they just kind of stick to like what they're good at, what's in their DNA, what they've rode their whole life, and stick to their guns, which it seems like maybe that's a mental thing when they have like a simpler mind, or is like I always say my mind is like a Rubik's cube, just always
you're not alone in that
colors and shapes. So that ends up working really good for them, and I was always. Now, once I'm off tour, I'm like really jealous that I wasn't, not jealous, but I wish I was a little bit more like that.
Yeah.
Where I just like trusted myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shit.
It's heavy because
it's natural what you're.
It's just a lot of insecurity, like playing, showing up in different places, you know.
And you know, like going back to when you're starting on tour and your dad telling you what to do, but you're like a child prodigy, right?
Yeah.
And you've had all the success, and you know, when you're that good and everyone's telling you you're that good,
yeah,
you kind of lose sight.
And the pressure, yeah. Oh yeah, he's gonna be 10-time world champ, like he's so good, you know.
Yeah,
and like, you know, it's like, dudes, a fucking human and trying to figure out how to
Yeah,
win
like
meets,
last
and
week I was just
I'm
hanging after blackball, like scamming on chicks, like trying to surf with my buddies, and now I'm like,
Yeah. Now I'm surfing against my idols, and
now I got Mick in my heat. I'm like, fuck.
Mick's winning percentage is 78.6%, and that
That Bell's Bowl or whatever.
He
Like,
averages
I can't even get a 6.
He averages 18.6 heat score. You're like, oh shit.
Backtracking a little bit, what was the first like surf trip that you went on?
Like with dad, family, or just sponsor? Like, I'm sure you guys travel.
Yeah, I mean, I went everywhere with my dad. I remember one at San Miguel when I was like really little. I think they used to have a contest at San Miguel, and then I rode a couple waves up the like second San Miguel, like the wide peak where like it's all soft in there. But yeah, I was just like my dad's little buddy. Like I just like went everywhere with him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how it starts, right? You're like, dude, let's go down to Max. Like it was so easy back, back then, and a lot safer. I mean, I think it's
pretty safe now.
Now it's kind of gotten back, but
When was your first like Indo trip?
I was 11.
11.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
Boat trip or just Bali?
Boat trip.
Boat trip.
Yeah, it was like an Oakley boat trip, and I got to go. There's like footage of it somewhere. Yeah, it's pretty sick.
I'll have to dig that up.
Yeah, and I remember like 2 days before I left, I did my first air reverse, and Glenn Davis, Luke's dad, filmed it at T Street, and I remember like watching it like in the hotel at Padang or whatever. Was it called the Bunimanang? Do you guys remember that hotel, the Bunimanang or whatever?
When we all,
I think it fell down or something eventually.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
That's where everybody said, okay, this is a holding spot. We'll leave tomorrow. Trucks will pick you up.
Yeah.
So you got footage of your first air reverse?
Yeah. I think I was in a white wetsuit. I always loved the white wetsuits.
You and Kelly.
Get dirty, but who cares? I got 20 of them.
Fuck, that's crazy. All right, so going back to Billabong 6.0.
Yeah.
And then Red Bull
in the nose.
Red Bull.
Yeah.
Target.
Dude,
Tour.
Red Bull is so gnarly. Like, not only do they have the gnarliest athletes in every single category, sport, culture.
Yeah.
They create the best fucking content.
Yeah, they're like a gnarly media outlet.
And like in the surf world, who is it? Who's like, who do you deal with?
What do you mean?
At Red Bull?
Well, I used to deal with a guy named Josh Kendrick. He was the guy who like originally sponsored me and was like had a relationship with my dad. And Red Bull used to be like this very prestigious thing, like where if you had the hat or the sticker, like it was like, oh my gosh.
Still is,
you
right?
know? I think so, but it seems like it's a lot of people have it.
Yeah.
Which is cool too. But yeah, it was Josh Kendrick originally. So he actually got my last deal done before he like quit. So that was the guy. Now I deal with a guy named Will Bowden who does like the WSL and all the surfing stuff. So.
Yeah. And you still ride for
But it's the easiest, best job in the world. I've always told people this. It's like, I put a hat on and I put a sticker on. It's like, it's so easy. Which
and it
is
goes
amazing.
so good with vodka. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
I don't drink.
You don't drink?
No.
Never drank?
I've drank before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jaeger. No, it's Red Bull, Jaeger, whatever.
Jaeger bombs.
Jaeger bombs, right?
I don't know.
Those are gross.
I don't think I've had one of those.
Jaeger shots are the worst.
South Africa or Australia, like 20 years ago.
Those are hard to like.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, fun.
So you don't drink anymore?
No.
But that's awesome. Good job.
Yeah.
The what's cool about Red Bull too is they invest in that like the athlete's well-being, with like training and
they're gnarly. Yeah.
So,
scientifically, like they're gnarly.
Like that's it's like, hey, cool, we're getting you ripped, but hey, we want to make sure that we're getting the best out of our athletes, and we want to make sure they're taken care of.
Yeah. The content that they put out, you're just like, fuck. Like, I wish they would buy WSL.
Yeah.
Or hire the same fucking people that make the Red Bull.
Yeah.
Red Bull tour right now. Let's go. It's
Dude.
fucking just insane.
It would be psycho.
You heard it here first. We're all part of it.
Do you have Red Bull TV?
Yeah, we watch it all the time.
Like the stuff you see on there, you're just like, dude, why can't we have this for, the WSL?
Yeah, I usually put it on and tell my kids, okay, you're never doing that, you're never doing that, you're never doing that. You can't do that, because everything is just so extreme.
Yeah.
It's like fucking epic, but fun to watch. But
Yeah.
you don't want your kids being like, yeah, I'm going to go jump out of a helicopter with a squirrel suit and fly next to this cliff, like, touch it. No, that's not okay.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I'm going to jump out on a parachute.
I did.
Fly to my friend.
That was my daughter's 18th wish. Is like, I want to go skydiving, Dad. Like, will you take me? And we did it. And I thought, I'm like, fuck, I could do this some more. Like, it's pretty radical.
I want to do that.
And
have you skydove?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
I think it's worth. I mean, if you're not scared of
Heights.
It was a crazy adrenaline dump after. I remember like me and my friends were all like, "Boom."
It happened too quick. I'm like, can I go do that again? I don't feel like I got my money's worth. Like, it went too quick. Like,
You're like, oh, and then you're on the land. You're like, whoa.
That was it. Yeah.
So this might be a sore subject, but
we're real.
The contest with the final, you and Italo.
I have that on here.
I don't care.
I know.
Gosh.
Ask me whatever.
You got ripped off.
Controversial goal goes against Italo. 2018.
But he has the trophy.
Yeah.
I know.
But that,
How frustrating is that?
I don't really care anymore. I mean, all my trophies are just like hidden away anyways in my garage, like up on the shelf. So I don't really care. I mean, it's a little, it sucks when people like go, oh, you fucking never won shit. I was like, oh, I was pretty close both times at Snapper. Like both finals I thought at Snapper, I thought I won, but trophy went to the other guy.
Yeah. Seeing I watched the contest.
Yeah.
Watched the replays, and I'm just like, what? Like, how does this happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I think Italo, he was on such a roll that event that it was like human nature was just like you start seeing people in a different light. I think.
Yeah.
Like he had some heats earlier where he was just going freakish.
Yeah.
But
judges get it wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're human. Like whatever. They're the field goal kickers of the sport. It's like you're supposed to make it.
That's pretty good.
Like you're supposed to
good
make it, and
analogy.
they're only brought up when they get it wrong. They don't
Yeah.
they don't get the pat on the back when they get it right. But I think I've had so many different things like go my way in my life, and it was just a lesson.
Yeah.
And that year I ended up finishing 5th in the world. And I was in the world title race all the way through the last day of the year at Pipe. So it was like a really cool year, and I qualified for the Olympics. So
yeah.
my,
I mean,
my best year on tour. So.
And that's what you got to look at. It's like, hey, this is, it's not about one event. It's not about, world title is like your pinnacle of winning, but it's like the whole body, your whole life, your work,
Totally.
I'm sure there's other guys on tour who have won events. Maybe they struggle and they don't have the sponsors. They never had the kind of like support you had.
Totally.
You're probably like, dude, I trade fucking 5 wins,
To have
that lifestyle,
condos
that
and starting
lifestyle.
a brand and a
Yeah.
healthy fam, whatever.
Yeah.
It's endless. So.
But that's, again, people would nitpick about that one event. It's like, dude, look what I've been blessed with the last, my whole life. Like,
Totally.
And the way you carry yourself and the way it's not over yet. You're going to go back. You're going to make it, dude. You're back on. So if you need a board caddy,
Sure.
if you need a little motivational speaker, I'll be there. I'm fucking great at waxing. I know how to put stickers on.
So, 2020, that was your best year, and you made it.
2019.
2019.
Yeah.
How did you qualify for Olympics?
I finished 5th. It was like the top 2 from each country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how was that experience?
It was rad. I think this is gonna sound like a bummer for the guys doing it this year, but the best part about the Olympics was going to the Olympic Village, I thought. Because other than that, it was just an event and whatever.
Like once you're on the beach doing your heat, you're talking about like.
Well, they didn't have anyone on the beach because it was like
COVID,
and they're not going to be much people on the beach because it's in Chopu, which is in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
So, but when we were done with the event, we got to go to the Olympic Village for like a day and a half or like a whole day, and it's like, I don't know if you guys know about the Olympic Village. It's like fucking crazy. Like it's like this whole like basically like small town is blocked off, and that's where like all the all the
Athletes.
teams stay and they eat and they train and they're running around. I don't know if you've seen Zootopia. Have you guys seen that movie?
Yeah.
Where they go into Zootopia and it's all these little animals like coexisting with each other, but they're in their little packs. And it was like, dude, it was like we went in there and we were like the shortest people there. Like, it was like, and it was like, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like there's like and they're all like been training for years. Like, so they're the most beautiful people in the world. They're all 6'5" and just all just glowing and like just hanging out with each other. And I'm just like,
the gladiator shit.
Yeah, and they're like they got the rings in there next to this big field, and there's people training like. And then we went into the cafeteria and I was like, oh, there's I was just like
all the different sports.
Yeah, it was so
athletes.
cool because the event was raining and there wasn't anyone on the beach because of COVID and whatever. It was kind of anticlimactic and it just felt like a normal CT or maybe even less in a weird way. It was just like, oh, whatever. And I think some guys got some money to like be a sponsor for like, I know I like surf for United for that year, like, which was cool, but the coolest part was Olympic Village. That's why I was like so bummed they're having it at Chopu because they could do it at Lacanau or Hasegawa or something. And then the surfers would get to experience that. Otherwise, they're just going to be like, okay, if you win the gold medal, maybe your country will fly you to Paris for a night or something like.
Yeah.
So it's
different.
You know where they're going to have it in 28? They might have it in Huntington.
Yeah, in Los Angeles, right? Yeah.
Why not lower? What time of year is it?
See, look, fuck that. Yeah. Keep them up here.
I'm just looking for the best surfing. Malibu, like, is there a window? Is there just like, what kind of days, what time of year?
Summertime, right?
Yeah. Summer Olympics, yeah. But you just want to see great surfing.
So when did you fall off tour?
Last year.
2023. Okay.
Yeah, the cut.
And what was that like?
I had like an interesting year leading up to that, where I was like kind of just like knew I was gonna fall off. I was just kind of contemplating like all these weird things, like it just kind of everything came to a head. I was like contemplating my like existence and my purpose and why do I do this and do I need to? Is it a part of me? Like all those just like philosophical questions. Like I kind of had like I had a mental breakdown after my heat up at Sunset. So I was just kind of like knew I was gonna fall off, and I was just kind of floating through it, like hoping, oh maybe, it was Easter Sunday when I had John at the bowl, and I was like, oh maybe like God will bless me with a little rebirth here. Wow. And I just got waxed. So, but then I just kind of floated through the whole year, like really just like kind of, it's weird because you look at photos of you during that time and you think, man, it brings you back to that. And I was just like a zombie last year, just like kind of like floating through it. And then when I got on the Challengers, I was like, kind of just told myself like, okay, I'm just here to help these kids fulfill their dreams. I was on tour for if you count the COVID year, like 12 years. And I want to help them as much as I can. And that was kind of like my plan. And they ended up killing it. We had a lot of success. I made one heat. And I chaired up Cole twice, and Cade and Crosby killed, like it was insane. So, yeah, I was super prepared for it. I was like, cause like 2 months prior, I was just like contemplating like quitting and all these different things, so that's why,
well, you have have a family, you know, and kids, you have different kind of, I don't know, maybe life's changing priorities
and I think another thing was like I based myself so much off my hard work, and then once you work so hard, you keep trying to work harder and harder and harder, and it becomes this like unobtainable mountain that you have to climb daily, and it like creates a lot of like stress and anxiety, and you're kind of like, because once you start working hard, it just becomes normal, and then you're like, I don't feel like I'm working hard, so I don't gain confidence, but then you have to work harder and harder and harder and harder. And it was just like this daily battle with myself. So,
and then you got these jerks that don't do shit, and they're just like freaking go out when he eats. You're like, that guy doesn't. I worked 10 times harder than that guy.
For a loop.
He was out partying last night. Doesn't even work out. I could outrun him, and then he was out there winning. Like, it happens.
It's pretty rare these days, though. Yeah. Everyone tries hard.
Yeah.
Right. No, for sure.
So, your goal is to requalify.
Yeah, I feel like my best surfing and competing's ahead of me for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that being said, I mean, right now, like just watching Bells, I was like, man, it looks like so much fun.
You know.
just in the mix, like with the boys doing good, like trying to win some heats, like they did really good, and I was like, I look at Cole and Griffin, I'm like, I can do what they do on the wave, like why can't I screw my head on right and win some heats,
Yeah.
So like I said, like I did 12 years on tour, but I was like, I took it for granted so much, and now it's just like I'm really excited to try to get back on.
Hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot, like how fortunate and lucky and hard work it is to be the 1% of pro surfing.
Yeah.
And being able to
0.001.
travel the world and get paid to do what you love.
Totally.
And like you're gnarly. You're you're a child prodigy that's lived up to your potential, but not really.
Yeah.
Like you still
Kinda.
I mean, yeah. I'm not trying to downplay what you've accomplished,
but the overall outlook of everything was like, I felt like I was like a letdown, but then when I fell off tour, I was like, man, I'd do fucking anything to be getting robbed by the judges against Illo in the final. Like, fuck, that sounds so fun.
Yeah.
When I paddle out the U.S. Open, and I used to like never get less than the quarters out there, and I can't even find a 5-point ride. Like, I'm just like, this is crazy. I'm getting like, I can't even get a fucking 4 out here.
Yeah. The one spot you probably surfed more heats than almost anywhere on the planet.
Yeah, and I just
like
have
over
a
since you're
complete
grown.
shocker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable. I know this wave. I could surf the slot pretty good.
Yeah, and not to like your boys, Cole and freaking Crosby and Cade and all these kids that are there now, and for them having success, it's like you should be there.
Yeah.
Well,
it just more looked like, it felt like almost like a father figure in a way. I was just like, man, it just feels like it would be so fun to be like rooting for them, and like if I was doing better than them, like hopefully they're rooting for me, like just like that like community on the road. Like, because when I was on the tour, it was like me and my dad and Snips, and it was like lock-in time, like it was not how it looks now.
Well, it's crazy too to think back at the Brazilian Storm, right?
Yeah.
Like they rallied each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, the patriotic.
But they all hate each other too.
Yeah.
But that helped them elevate their whole team.
Totally.
Their whole country.
Totally.
And that's what's happened in San Clemente.
Yeah. Totally. And it's such a weird thing because it's like a country versus a small town. It's like, it's like, how do you? But to that too, like John, and like you look at the top 10, there's like 7 or 8 that are from Hawaii, or Jake Marshall's from Encinitas. Like everyone's like, it's like kind of like a California, America,
For
Hawaii.
sure.
It's kind of
It's so great
storm
to see,
in its
'cause
way.
that's what it was from the 90s through the early 2000s, and then it kind of just but it's definitely, as being just patriotic and want the Americans in Hawaii, of course, like you just want to see great surfing. And we always talk about WSL's not doing this and that, why'd they hold it? And it's like, when the waves are good and the contest is on all cylinders with just firing waves, nobody complains. But when waves are crappy and lay days, and it's just, they should have ran it the other day, and this, it's like, you guys, it's Mother Nature. It's impossible to like nail it every time.
Yeah.
It's like,
What San Clemente has done, like the camaraderie, the progression in surfing, it's definitely elevated up and down the coast.
Yeah, totally.
Like you said, Jake Marshall, fucking Katie Simmers.
Yeah.
Like it's overflowing into other parts, and the board riders thing I think is helping too.
Totally.
Well,
I think the board riders thing, like, there's a lot of aspects in surfing right now that are like very sterile and like old-minded and strange. So the board riders thing is just strictly fun and community, and connects literally my dad to a Zion Walla, like,
dude, so
and
awesome.
everyone in between. So it's like, it's fun. That's what surfing is fun. That's why we started doing it. That's why we wanted to not go to school, not go to work. That's why we canceled our whole life to go surf, because it's fun. And then like the board riders thing is so fun. So it's just like, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's like a family reunion, a surf family reunion when it goes to that aspect of like people that maybe haven't seen in years or a decade and stuff, and then you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, you know, the old memories and the old stories of like all of that, and then the younger kids like, do you know who this guy is or this girl? And then like half of them don't even know. You got to school them like, dude, they freaking were the gnarliest back in the day, you know?
Yeah.
It was cool to see at the Jax Pro, the battle of the board riders, to see Encinitas win.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, because we win everything?
Kind of.
And sometimes HB for a while.
Your guys' third string's like, holy shit, like, I thought everybody's out of town, and they got the lineup.
Like, it's unfair.
They're ripping.
Yeah,
for sure.
Nick Marshall, is that it?
Yeah.
He
Jake's brother,
double whammied a fucking 10.
A 10,
Yeah.
But
it's fun. It's such a good, fun, like you said, community beach. And it's not even just during the events, it's what we do all year long, you know?
Yeah.
All the other stuff that's involved. And, you know, whether it's some of the kids that maybe don't have money to get to an event or help sponsor, or, you know, like it's kind of like, hey, like, let's get so-and-so to this event, or help pay for the entry, or help do this. So, you know, there's a lot of good things where I think it will draw. I mean, because you don't want the people just in the club that are just surfers and want to surf. You know, you want it as a community, like, hey, they're doing great stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we have Surf Rider Foundation, North Orange County, as like one of our sponsors, and every one of our events we're doing beach cleanups and stuff. And it's like, you know, it's like, hey, that's just another aspect. And, you know, it's cool. We got Earth Pack, one of our sponsors. They make awesome bags, you know? Like, just plugging sponsors right now. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it's like, you know, it's a nonprofit. They see value in supporting, because it is a write-off for them, but they're doing killer shit at every one of our events, which
that's
goes
cool,
a long way.
So that tag team event that you did last summer.
Yeah.
At the pier.
At the pier.
Yeah.
Dude, that was huge. It went viral.
Oh, yeah.
You had the couch surfing show
Webcast it.
webcast it the whole day.
Yeah.
Like, are you gonna do that again?
Yeah, we're doing that every year.
Sick.
Yeah, so I'm organizing all that. Yeah.
And it's not gonna be like the 2%.
We'll call it the 2E Classic. That's what we call it.
2E Classic?
Yeah, because like Aussie style, you know,
Yeah.
they like just put a E on everything. Like 2E. Yeah, like 2E Classic, right? Yeah.
When's the next one?
July. So the best thing about that is like I took all the things that I like in surfing or sport and try to like mix it into one. Like I really like the board riders.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the Cosmic Creek. I really like drafting in NFL fantasy leagues.
Yeah.
So I kind of like, my favorite part about it is the night before, so on July 26th, we had a snake draft. So the kids get together and they get to draft their team. So it wasn't like the team was like
made up by certain people.
Yeah, or just you're like, oh, here you're on this team. Like they actually had to like, they had they had a junior, a girl, and a pro on their thing, and they worked together to name their team and to draft their team. So
and who goes first? Just drawing like.
Yeah, we did like out of a hat, like
just
you know,
raffle,
just like oh, you're pick 7, like here you go.
That's epic.
So
fun.
It was rad. Yeah, it was
Is
super
it
rad.
just going to be St. Clemente?
No, it was anyone.
Okay.
It was anyone. Yeah, like we had. I mean, the winning team last year was Big 20.
Big 20.
Quade,
Farion.
They were the kids. And then the girl was Kira Pinkerton, who's from San Clemente, but then the junior was Cole McCaffrey, and then the pro was Jordy Lawler. So there's like sick teams going on. It's because it's like they get to spend all day with them, and they're working with strategy, and then also the board acts as a baton, so you don't tag team, you come in and switch boards, so one team has to ride one board.
What a trip.
Yeah, so it's super cool. So you like run back in the box, and then the next guy takes your board and you run that board out. So it was
So you need to find people that are similar.
Yeah, but then the kids are only one of the kids can be a double whammy. And then we had like no priority and no interferences, so it was just like, and the waves were literally like 3 to 6 inches. Yeah. But it was crazy. I was like, we just kind of threw it together like that in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
and there was like 1,000 people down there lined
was
up on the
sick.
pier. Like, it was crazy.
I had FOMO for sure.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, I want to be down there.
Yeah, so we're doing it again this year on the 26th is the draft, and the next day is the event, July 26th, 27th, and trying to make it better this year if we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fun events, you know, Bud Lamas's 80s event up here, riding a board from the 80s.
Uh-huh.
It's fucking like,
Yeah.
because you could still kind of rip on them, but
Yeah.
like you're talking to your old dad's boards, like the rails are, you know, like
Yeah.
what the,
Yeah.
like 3.5, 4 inch rails, like, you know, super sharp, ends are straight,
Yeah.
but you can still rip. The 70s event that they do, you have to draw a number, all the boards are numbered, and you draw, and you get like they're 1 through 6, you get to draw one of the.
That's like the
boards.
Cosmic Creek.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so similar to that, you know, and it's like, oh man,
There's a
there's some-
60s, 70s, and 80s.
I trifecta.
contest.
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
One's
they're
at
hard.
Golden West, the 80s. And
Bolsa.
then one's at Anderson Street.
That's
That's
the
the
70s.
70s.
Bolsa for the 80s.
And
Or,
Bolsa for the 60s.
Yeah.
Single fins.
Yeah,
Really tough.
so last year we had, it was like basically like Biolis's attic, because Biolis's office, he has like his computer and stuff, but then above it he has like
Archives.
hundreds of boards just kind of stuffed into the pile. So right before the 2E Classic, they had this, they were working on this video called like From the Attic or something, I don't know. They did like
Yeah, I
where
saw
they
it.
had like all of the new boys on one day at Lowers ride all these old boards.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they were like refurbishing at the same time. I was like, hey, can I use those for the thing? So like the first round was like some of his like first 100 boards he shaped. They're all like 6'3", 6'4s, all huge, but like narrow and like piles of shit. But with like rad art on them. Like one was like a Timmy with a Timmy board with like a HIC logo and then like Biolis's art. Like, so it's like pretty fucking rad shit.
Yeah.
So the kids are riding those and it's like 1 foot low tide closeouts. And they're like trying to learn how to do it. And then like the second round was like even newer boards, and it was like Bruce's national title board and like some old Corey and Ward logo boards that like, you know, these old whiplashes and 6'3" guns from Chopu and like, and then the final was like the newest boards. It was like some of my boards and like a new Julian board, a Taj board, like a Carissa board. So these kids kind of got to like, if they advanced, they got to
better boards.
ride newer boards, and then they were picking up like, and then before each round we'd have them shoot a basketball to see like when they picked.
Wow.
So-
Yeah, so it was like a lot of intricate kind of moving
Yeah.
parts. So this year we're gonna have like underground shapers. I'm trying to get, this is like so much organizing for me, but it's worth it. It's really cool. So this year we're gonna have organized shapers, or no, underground shapers shape a board, and I'm gonna try to get 24. Like some of my friends are gonna do boards, like this 14-year-old kid's gonna do boards, like just kind of whoever wants to participate. And the night before, they're gonna draft the board. So all the boards will be lined up, and then they'll be like, okay, I want that board, and then that'll be their board for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So drafting the boards and the teams this round.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
So then all the underground shapers and all the guys will hopefully show up, see when their board gets picked, how it rides, like kind of just a way to involve more people.
Yeah.
Can you
It's so
forecast some
crazy.
waves?
The worse it is, the better it is in a weird
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
How fun was filming Stab in the Dark?
Yeah.
It was sick. Super sick. It was like, I mean, just imagine like you're going to Indo and you have 13 brand new boards. And
Yeah.
your
Sorry
job...
for jumping ahead.
No. Yeah.
Did the location, everything's already all picked out, or do you give them kind of like, hey, I'd like to go test them here, or do they just said, hey, we're going here? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm good friend. I don't know how they do it with like, I think every person is different, but I'm
Yeah.
like super good friends with Sam McIntosh, who started Stab, and we were kind of talking about it. We're just like big emphasis on trying to get good waves so that
Yeah.
like the boards had a good shot, and like Bali and Indo's so like reliable that it's kind of like
Yeah.
they should almost do it there every year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the variety of waves, consistency, yeah, it's just like a no-brainer.
Yeah, because you could go to like J-Bay, but it's like, okay, it's only rights, and then it's flat for 5 days.
When did you guys film that, and when did it end? When
It
did
was
you finish
the,
filming it?
like mid-end of August
Okay.
last year.
When did we interview Luke Cederman?
Fuck, I don't know.
It was a while ago.
Yeah.
Anyways, we walk into the Stab office in Oceanside,
Uh-huh.
and your boards were in there.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait, what's this? You know, like,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was funny because no one knew.
Did you guys do it in like November or something?
I can't remember when he did that.
It was definitely like basketball season, like so after
He was
October.
floating around trying to go to the Smooch premiere at the end of October.
It might have been then.
Yeah.
So I think he was probably in town.
Because he was going to a Laker game and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah. So
Yeah, but we walked in there and we're like, holy shit, it's, stabbing the dartboards.
Yeah.
So it was kind of
And I already wrote him probably.
And you already ordered,
Yeah.
And the one that was sitting, I took a picture, it was 74.
Okay, was it the Borst?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my mind, like, oh, that board probably won.
Yeah.
It almost did, right? Kind of.
It made the final.
Yeah.
I think it got 4th. Yeah.
So, are you the only guy that didn't get any boards right except for the Mayhem?
I think I got one other one right. 2 out of 12. 2 out of 13.
I mean, that's
Well, I think it's bullshit though, because I think in the past they're like, give him a list, or like the director in the back's kind of going like, whereas this time Sam's like straight face. He's
Really?
Like,
like no
secrets.
been,
No secrets. Yeah.
like any shaper in the world, like instead of
Yeah, I was
least
saying
a
shapers
list.
that weren't even in it. I was saying like fucking Dahlberg and shit. Right? And I was like, fucking,
It's
he's retired
Did
and
you-
Gary.
Were you tripping when you watched it? When they showed you the video with all the sound effects. Brr, brr,
No, because I mean, it's good TV in a way.
It's
Like,
great
I
TV,
thought
dude.
actually that I hate listening to myself talk. Like I will not listen to this. But I was like fucking watching those, going like, man, I wish it was longer. Like this is funny.
It
Like,
is.
Yeah, and I was kind of like writing the boards off, but I was like so honest. Like I was like, man, I'm
That's
being,
what you're there for.
I'm being myself. Like I was proud of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so hard for somebody like me who aren't at that level of surfing that you guys have done
Yeah.
and can do. But when I watch you surf
Critique.
these waves and then pick the boards apart,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, that board sucked. And I'm like, what? You fucking ripped on that board.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so...
I thought I did pretty good at articulating what
You
I was feeling.
Yeah.
That's
Because
but
like it would
every
have been
time...
it would have been really easy for me to just go like, oh, it sucked, it's out. But like
you got it.
Sam was like drawing it out of me like so, and I was going pretty in depth like, and it sucked for some of the shapers because I was going in depth in a bad way. But that's the
premise of the show.
yes,
Like,
totally. And
we're
it was
supposed
like,
to.
and I was guessing all the boards wrong, so
And
it
it's all
wasn't
biased.
personal at
Yeah,
all.
Yeah, there's no bias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a board and you're writing
Well,
it. And
it was cool that you singled out the Mayhem and kicked it out.
Yeah, that was
That was
good,
really
right?
cool.
Because I think everyone was worried, like, oh, fucking Mayhem's gonna win.
Yeah.
Driver 20.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was a sick, one of the better ones for sure.
Thank you.
They're all good,
they are.
but
Yeah.
that was pretty fucking.
It is. It's one of the
Thank you.
best, series on in surfing. you
Totally.
know?
It was the
How surfers get paid.
Well, yeah, that too. But this is where you're watching like fucking the best surfing done in somewhere that's
yeah. I told
not exotic, but like usually in really
World class
ways, like
Yeah.
really rippable.
I told Sam it was the biggest thing I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean it was either that or the Olympics or like something else. Like it was like everywhere I went there was like 3 to 7 people asked me about it.
Yeah.
Like in the lineup and stuff. And I was like, geez, this is crazy. Like I
Yeah.
didn't know this many people were paying attention. And it was also interesting to see how many people thought I was actually trying those boards live. Where it's like they think that I'm trying those boards, in January or whenever it was releasing.
Right.
And then they would make the episode like that week or whatever.
Mm.
But I was like, oh, I filmed it like 6 months ago.
Yeah, you have to. You have
Yeah.
to be back to back to back, multiple boards, and like what's your thought process? Like, okay, I'm gonna ride this board or these 3 in this session.
Yeah.
Kind of start making note. Were you making notes or just all mental?
It was all mental, and then like some of the board, like it was very clear, like the boards that I liked were the driviest boards, so it's easy to like, because I just like drive, like stand up and go drive, and so it was easy to feel right away. And the hardest part was like, okay, this board feels like shit, but I have to give it a legit try so that the shaper's not bummed,
So yeah.
Because I can stand up on a board pretty quick and go, no, yes, no, yes,
Yeah.
But Sam was like, no, you got to ride 5 to 10 waves on it. And the very worst one, I still rode 7 waves on it. Like, whereas I could have just, because it's a lot of work. So at that point, you're like, fuck, this thing's out. Like, I got to get through these boards.
Yeah. What's the time frame like?
It's 10 days.
10 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
That is-
as much as you can surf, or they're like, like
you gotta ride at least 5 to 7 waves on each board, and you gotta give like a in-depth description on each one.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's a lot to do in 10 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Right.
sleeping. I was sleeping good.
How funny! It's sad too because that 13th board, right?
Yeah,
The
the
one that you
Xanadu,
just
yeah.
pick up and
Just toss it automatically.
yeah,
Yeah, but then Crosby got to ride it, so
yeah,
and it looked good.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's cool that they made up for it that way.
totally.
You know, he still got some
Publicity and
publicity out of it.
Some
Yeah.
love.
some love.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
But it, I mean, yeah, it's fucking rad. I just, you know, as a surfer, and everybody knows fucking the new board and what it feels like, and
Yeah.
putting it
And
on
what you like.
and, you know, and it's like you just got a surf shop with your dims like just rolled up.
Yeah, and it goes back to that, like, what are you used to, too? You know, you're picking it up, and just like riding a wave, you pick it up and you go, oh man, this thing looks like a fucking weird piece of shit.
Yeah.
Or you're like, ooh, this thing feels good. You know, if
Yeah.
you like lighter boards, or if you
So
like
I'm
pinch
told right
rails,
before you even touch the water,
or the
something
nose
else.
rocker, or all the things, you know, and like,
yeah.
you know, there was some boards that like the Timmy I thought felt really bad on land, but then it worked incredible, and it's like,
So crazy.
it was weird, yeah, which is cool. That's cool for a surfer.
Now, are you using the same fin setup every single board, or did you?
Yeah,
switch
because there is too many like
Too many
components.
variables,
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you're like,
Because it wouldn't be fair if you
You're
tried.
using your signature FCS KA 2.0. Or is it? I'm just kidding. I have a pair actually. It's a
yeah,
2-in-1.
they're fucking magic.
Yeah, they
You
are. I
better.
fucking love it. I think it's the 2-1. You know, the 2 with the trailer.
No, that's not mine.
No,
That must be MR.
I'll cut that
I
out.
don't know.
You must be getting me
No,
and Mark
okay,
Richards
they're-
confused.
Maybe they're.
But it's
they're-
easy to do.
They're black and white. Black carbon with like white. on the
yeah,
side.
yeah. That's just my
Yeah.
yeah, that's my fan. Yeah.
So that I'm talking. I have.
But it's
those.
not a 2+1.
Nah, I know. Okay.
That's for him.
Get your story straight. I'm so embarrassed.
Oh
That's
my
right,
I'm
god.
sorry, dude.
Hey, I got the colors right. I see. I have so many sets. I don't even know, but no, I got them for sure. KA it's on the side.
They're not, are they?
They're gnarly. Go get one.
So, 2%. Go back to it.
It's finished on 2%.
Yeah.
I like it,
Right?
dude. Look at this sweatshirt. This,
Yeah.
like this
So
crew neck's looking tight.
What's the vision? what's the blueprint or game plan for 2%?
Basically, just gonna keep doing what we're doing with it. Just making movies, parties, events, like trying to have fun and bring the community together and that sort of stuff. And then now that I'm out of my O'Neill deal, like try to sell some merch and see if people get behind it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, long term, as like an ambitious human being, I would like for it to reset the surf industry and bring it back to the core. Like, but there's a lot of brands that are trying to do this.
Yeah.
Like a Rivia or Ava or some other guys. So hopefully people stop buying ABG and Kathmandu and these and start buying our stuff, you know, because I think there's a huge thirst for it with the kids and stuff. And I'm just, you know, going after it. I mean, it's kind of easy though, because I think what makes an amazing brand is the stuff we're already doing. So it's kind of plug and play. We're just trying to ride the coattails of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that stuff is like fun movies and parties and bringing
Yeah.
it back to the youth and having fun, really, because I think, like I said, surfing's so sterile and old right now, and like even the webcasts are very phony. And I think the big issue was everyone was trying to cater to the people that don't surf, and then the people that like to surf kind of
The main viewership.
Walked away from it.
start hating it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so then no one was liking it, because let's be honest, anyone in middle America doesn't give a shit if I get a 6.5 ride in the last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, from some butt snaps.
And there's, I mean, the WSL, you know, has so much more competition with how much other content sources there are, you know, whether it's Stab or just people's YouTube or Insta, you know, like, so
Yeah, but
people are, you know, drawn, but the names and the,
you have to water the core's trees. You just have to keep continuing
Yeah.
doing that.
That's kind of what I think needs to happen is focus on the grassroots things that, like you said, the fun of it, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, who cares what Middle America wants to see as long as you're, you know.
Yeah, and that's fine. Those brands can make their money at Zoomies and
Yeah.
Costco and PacSun and and that's awesome. But I think
That's only part of the.
like, what happened to like the youth at the beach having fun, lighting their friends on fire, breaking shit, like all that stuff that like we grew up on. That's awesome, and yeah, we just need to bring all that back.
Yeah.
You know, really.
So 2% on top of it being a media, video marketing machine, you're building apparel with it.
Yeah, but not like we're not making board shorts and like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. What are you gonna make?
Well, we got right now we got like 4 tees, 2 hoodies, 2 crews, hats and beanies.
Yeah.
Is it already
Yeah.
out in the market?
No, April 19th
Oh wow.
drop.
All right, so we got to get this posted.
No.
We're gonna post this Friday.
Oh,
so,
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't come on. I just wanted to hang out.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. We wanted you to come and.
It's hard for me to talk all about it. I like working behind the scenes on this stuff. And
Yeah.
that's why like I got Luke and Hayden and Cole, they're on the team because I don't think that Kelly Slater, John, Julian Wilson, I don't think brands with one person work. That's my belief. So Kolohe brand doesn't work.
Yeah.
But a big movement of the youth and fun and Cole and Griffin and Hayden Rogers and Luke Weiler and Big 20, like that is like a lot of fun that people can get behind. I
For
think.
sure.
Yeah.
It's something that people want to like be a part of because you guys are like
Totally.
having fun.
Rivia got Caleb Tancred and Florence got Nathan Florence.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like they're learning, I think.
Yeah. For sure.
Growing,
Yeah.
learning. But yeah, no, it's
But it's going to be a small collection. 4 T-shirts.
2 hoodies, crew neck,
2
hats, beanies. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's only going to
Yeah.
be e-com,
A
right?
multi-size large.
Yeah.
Just e-com.
Direct
Okay.
to consumer. Well, you go to these shops, their best selling products and brands are Jax or HSS.
Yeah. Private label stuff.
So, like, yeah, fuck them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We'll cut that part out.
I don't care, man.
There's plenty of
I don't
room.
care.
No, but I think, the more hype and excitement that you're going to bring to the core market and have the 2% name for it, people are going to want to see it or carry it down the line.
Yeah, maybe. We'll
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully, I don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
No, I get it. I mean, simplicity, right?
I would rather
Keep
own my
it-
own store.
yeah.
Yeah, because I just actually hate surf shops. I go in there, it's all the same shit. Like, I mean, whether it's the brands being old and lazy or regurgitating the same crap for years, or it's just the shops are bad and there's just too much stuff in there. Like, you go into any shop and it's like, you're like, what do I wear? Like,
Yeah.
fuck, it's all the same stuff. Nothing stands out. It's all these similar colors, similar patterns. Like, it's just, I think it's
Well,
very...
that goes back to the brands that they're offering to these shops.
Totally,
like,
but it's
you know.
very like unartistic and lazy and boring. I'm just like, why don't you do like skating? You go into like a cool skate shop. You're like, they spent time. This is a piece of art. The shop is an art and an experience in itself. So I would way rather do that in the future than put our hoodies next to Billabong hoodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you what shop was your go-to like growing up in San Clemente? Did you guys have a hangout, like a clubhouse, like
No.
Because there wasn't really. I'm trying to think of
Riviera.
like, yeah,
Lost friends.
like what surf shop, like,
Yeah. Well, it's different than here
yeah,
because you have the surf shop right across the street from the waves.
Yeah.
Whereas there's none of that in
It's kinda
San Clemente.
deep.
It's kind of like more on the main streets, and then
yeah,
I guess maybe Catalyst would act as that. Like they call it Catalyst OG or Catalyst One, where it was. But that's across the street from North Beach. No one surfs there, so it's kind of like
yeah.
I mean, HSS is a rad shop because you can go in, you get coffee, you get a nice bagel, donut, drinks, whatever. So it's like creates that like foot
More-
traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More community, like just instead
Hanging
of going
out.
light inside.
Yeah. Then you have the Walk of Fame. Like all that shit's pretty fucking rad.
yeah.
And but like our surf shops in town are corpo and boring. I mean, Lost, Catalyst, both Catalysts are cool. A lot of the boys work there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think hopefully people get on board.
Yeah.
They
No,
will.
I think what you're doing is awesome. It's infectious, and
Yeah, just keep
You know.
putting out killer content, you know? Like,
Yeah.
you guys, you know, that's...
We're just like
Yeah.
trying to create ways to have fun.
Yeah.
That's it.
So April 19th is when 2% drops.
Yeah.
And then is there another movie coming out or?
Well, there's a movie coming out that night.
Oh,
yeah,
sick.
all of our footage from the winter. Yeah, at Stance.
Is there a name for that movie or?
Yeah, it's called House Party. It's all footage from the West Coast.
Sick.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then there's a movie coming out in August too. Yeah, we're getting after it.
Shit.
Good.
Oh shit.
It's all right. I got back up.
Yeah, hold on.
This guy.
What the fuck?
His computer crashes. It's okay. I got
You guys have an editor?
I got
must,
this.
right?
I edit.
It's
Yeah.
actually we never have to edit too much.
Now, go. So
2%. We got
2%.
shirts, hoodies coming out on April 19th with a premiere at Stance.
Yeah.
How do people attend, or is it invite only?
You
Or
show up, show
just
their
show
ID,
up?
and get a wristband.
does it
Free.
cost money or is this open to the public?
It's open.
Sick.
Yeah, we've been charging $10 because sometimes people feel elevated a little bit if it's like cost money.
Yeah.
But I want people to go to the site and buy stuff. So
Nice.
the movie's free.
Nice.
How long is the movie?
With the credits, it's like 17 minutes.
Perfect.
Try to keep it short. We don't
Yeah.
do much interviews or storyline or anything. We're just like,
Just hardcore ripping. And,
yeah, there's like one section that's like in knee-high waves. So
And
and it's winter, so we're not going to see any bikinis on the beach.
yeah, just Big 20 drinking ice cream.
Some cold weather climate, you know.
what's
Yeah.
the movie called again? Sorry.
House party.
House Party.
Yeah.
Dude.
Some red cups. Let's go.
Yeah. And bro, HB band.
Yeah.
I forget.
I forget's playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Epic.
Yeah, it was cool.
They're
seeing-
fired up.
Dude, they're fired.
They're gonna bring the heat. I think.
They're
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
good. It's
Yeah.
entertaining.
That jacket or sweatshirt that they brought you was pretty sick.
Super sick. Yeah, I was psyched. So nice to wear whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shoot.
Yes. He usually does a recap, but I don't know. I don't think we need it. It was so good.
No, I mean,
Is-
dude, we're stoked to finally sit down with brother.
Yes.
No worries.
Um,
A lot of fun.
We got some parting gifts for you. Look at that. A couple koozies, and then you got for soda
For
or
my-
your Red Bull.
For your house
or
party.
Your house
My
party.
my Ollie Pop.
your
Yeah.
lollipops.
Yeah.
Got a black or camo hat for you. We got shade sunscreen. Thanks Strider for hooking our guests
Oh,
up.
that's a nice hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got Bonsai
Can't wear it, but
Bowl.
my
Thanks
wife
Joe
was there.
Bard and the Bonsai family right there. The Bard family hooking us up for some free bowls.
And
Take
just
the
to
con-
let you know, Bard signed 2 new leases. He's going to be in Pacific Beach and Lucadia
Phew.
pretty soon here.
Nice.
So,
Franchising out.
yeah.
Let's go.
No franchise.
I know, it's all him.
It's all him. But yeah, thanks to Caballero Pools and Spas. Thank you, Finless Skateboards.
Yep.
Thank you, Loose Towels.
That's it.
You have a towel sponsor?
No.
Well, you're going to get loose tonight, bro.
Yeah.
That's so bad.
Yeah.
like
And we're
a
a
wall
sponsor.
swag
Hey,
now.
we're a
Thank
sponsor.
you to Earth Pack,
That's it.
right?
Making all your
Hoagie, they make-
bagging needs.
Yeah. And thank you, Murph Electric Bikes. They're
Good,
sponsored
yeah.
by Murph as
I got
well.
some merch. Yeah.
Mercer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then Clearweather brand shoes,
Good. Sick.
Shoots,
Shoots
Pokey
good.
and beer.
Oh, cuz.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. I gotta clean it up. I was talking way too much this last week.
But yeah, dude.
So good.
So-
I have portable.
Congratulations
Thank you.
on 2%.
Yeah,
We're
and all your
stoked to,
accomplishments, man. You know,
Thanks.
we're huge fans, and we love your, you know, a great American, you know, persona on the
Yeah.
big screen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And dude, here's to qualifying in 2025,
That'd be nice.
right?
I'd be psyched on that.
Yeah.
Sounds
Well-
like great news to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're giving 100% backing to the 2%.
102%.
We're giving you 102%.
Well, thank you, and yeah, tell your dad this was a blast and get him on.
Yeah. Peace.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
We're gonna do.